Hey, I'm going live here in just a second with Girls Get Tactical. She's another female trainer. Hey, Amy. How you doing? Hey, Chris. Hey, Sam. How's everybody doing? So I'm just waiting for Girls Get Tactical to hop on in and join. I'm going to text her real quick. And she and I are just going to rap about training, about women, and probably a bunch of other crap that some of you may care about, and some of you won't. But South Carolina Gun School just joined. There she is, Girls Get Tactical. So go ahead and request to join. I'm super excited, too, to also say that Texas Gun Experience is going to carry Alexo Athletica. So we are going to get in on that. With girls Get Tactical right now. But yes, Texas Gun Experience is going to carry Alexo Athletica, and I'm super excited for that for my female clients. Hello, how are you, Tiffany?
Hi.
All right. So we got some people on the live. Amy with Alexo Athletica has actually joined and wanted to kind of talk with you about this real quick while she's on the live. Have you ever heard of Alexo Athletica?
No.
No? Okay. Where are you from?
South Florida.
South Florida. So she's on the thread here, and you can kind of scroll through and see. So her Instagram handle is the Amy Robbins, and then she also has the Instagram page Alexo Athletica. And you should look into her product if you like activewear, because she designed a really, really cool line of concealed carry activewear for women with, running shorts and leggings that have holsters built into them.
Okay.
And then she's also just come out with a skirt that's really cute too. That has the holsters built in, and it's really awesome. And a lot of the gals love them. And then this summer I'm launching a workshop called Preparing What You Wear, and I'm going to highlight her line in it. So it's going to be like a little fashion show for gals who can still carry. But definitely look into that and hook up with Amy Robbins so that you guys can kind of talk about that, because I don't know how much representation that she has in the Florida area, but it is a national brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be great, because I usually wear athletic wear to the range and stuff anyway, so that'd be perfect.
It's good stuff for that. She's but I've been 2 years I've been wearing it. She kind of had me beta test a lot of the first designs that came out, and it's only gotten better since. So that's going to be awesome. Well, Tiffany, so tell me once again where you're from, and tell me a little bit about what you're doing over there for ladies in the Second Amendment in Florida.
Well, I'm a Girls Get Tactical. I'm now a certified instructor with USCCA, and I've been working on getting women certified in carrying firearms, basically. And that's what I do. I'm trying to grow more with my business, but as well get more people more involved, more women involved.
And tell me what part of Florida?
South Florida. It's like Broward, Miami area.
Okay. And you have many ranges out there?
Yeah, it's a few ranges. Some indoor, outdoor. Some in Pembroke Pines, Homestead, Fort Lauderdale. Their Davie is pretty spread out. So
yeah,
that's why I just made a broad range, Broward County or Miami-Dade. I'll come to you, or you guys can come to me. Very
cool. So the South Carolina Gun School, you're going to want to follow him too. But he was asking about, he was about your handle. So her handle's Girls Get Tactical, to answer your question. And you guys can follow her. So how long have you been certified?
I just got certified this year. I've been training actually for a couple years now, because I wanted to be, very good at what I do before I teach other people. But I got certified probably like the beginning of this year before all this chaos started.
Nice. Okay, very cool. And so you teach, do you specialize in, basic handgun? Or are you more of a rifle shotgun kind of person, or?
No, I'm trying to get into rifles. Actually, it's more basic handgun and like defensive shooting. Also awareness classes. What I do for work, I'm kind of like specialized in behavior detection. So I'm very good at being social, like just aware of my environment. So I stress that in my classes as well. Something that we need to do as women and mothers. Needs to be aware of your environment. So yeah, that's it. But I'm just trying to get into rifles right now, rifles and shotgun. Right now, I'm actually learning this.
Okay. So when you say your job is behavioral awareness, what do you do for your work during your day
I'm
job?
not allowed to. I'm not allowed to say that online.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but I could. The only thing I am allowed to say is that I do specialize in behavior detection. So
Behavior detection. Got it.
yeah, I watch people.
So you translate that into situational awareness in your classes?
You're right.
Got it. Well, that's very nice. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about that offline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're newly certified. You're getting some classes together in the Miami, Florida area. What did you call it? Say Broward County?
Yeah, Broward. Yeah.
Yeah. South Carolina gun school. I love him. He said she's about that secret squirrel shit. I like that. Amy, I'm smoking an Exactus, and I've never smoked one before, and it's pretty delicious. And I'm coupling it with a Zacapa 23-year rum out on my porch. It's a beautiful day in Texas. It's like 70 degrees. And it's we just got done raining, so it's not it's not super hot. It's not even really that humid. So I imagine Florida is about the same right now. Are you a little warmer?
Actually, it's very humid, and we've been getting a lot of thunderstorm, like crazy weather. It's just weird for this time of year. It's crazy weather, tornado warnings, crazy thunderstorms. It's just been strange.
We've gotten a lot of thunderstorms around here too. It's kind of It's kind of crazy. But and then, hey, girl, follow Sydney Sheridan too. She said she used to live in Broward, and she does a lot of stuff with Amy, with Alexo. And we're going to get you I think that's probably a thing that we need to do for you today, is get you into a nucleus of other women that are doing what you're doing, so that you can have connections anywhere you go, so that when you have questions, you can ask. Because getting into this, I mean, you're going to make some mistakes, but as you're learning to teach, and as you grow your client base, you're going to want to have some people that you can kind of fall back on and learn from. And I know that you're hooking up with Carrie Sloan up in Washington State.
Yes.
She's going to, help you out with the advocacy side of it. She's pretty good at that. But we need to get you like a nucleus of chicks that in different areas that kind of do this for a living, so that you can, fall back and ask questions. And it doesn't mean that you don't need to like be friends with dude instructors. You do. But, as women, we learn differently. We train. We should all get to the level where we're training the same. But there's always going to be small nuances that are going to be different between women and men. And I think that men are doing a really great job, like kind of learning how to teach women. But there's always going to be, those women that are just going to be more comfortable learning from other women in the beginning. But the goal should always be to get these women to a level where they feel like they can train with men, because if they don't train with men, they're not going to get any real world experience.
Right.
And they're not going to be able to be familiar with their aggressor, right? That's how you become familiar with who your aggressor is likely going to be. So, we need to get ourselves to the point where, we need to get our clients to the point where they can train with the Kevin Dixies, and they can go to the South Carolina gun school, and they can train with the Rob Pinkuses of the world, because that's when they're really going to move up, in their world. But Amy says that we should join the group 2A Women on Facebook. And I think I'm already part of that group. Are you part of that group?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Why don't you, when we're done with this live, send me your information about Facebook too. Because that is
Okay.
a good thing about Facebook is there's all these really great Second Amendment groups that you can be in, and you'll get a lot of information out of those too. So I'll make sure that you get into 2A Women and some other ones as well. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to get into the gun world.
So I started after a family member of mine was attacked. At first, I wasn't into firearms at all. I wasn't against it, but I wasn't, an advocate for firearms or owning a firearm until someone I know was attacked. And after that, I said to myself, we need to be responsible for our own safety. It's up to us. And after that, I just started training and planting the seed for everyone I come in contact with that they need to start training as well.
And it's not even that it's not that you need to, there's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, science backs that up. No one is going to be able to save you but you.
Right.
Very rarely are you going to be in a situation where you get attacked by another human being and somebody's going to step in to help you. Because first of all, most people that want to attack you and want to harm you, they don't want you to be with anybody else. They want it to be easy. They want you to be a soft target. They want to catch you walking down the street alone at night. Like, that's what they want. And so more often than not, you're not going to be attacked in a group of people. I mean, unless it's an active shooter situation, you're not going to be attacked in a group of people. You're going to be alone, and you're going to have to be able to handle that on your own, And so that's what kind of blows my mind about the anti-gunners is, I'm like, we can be anti a lot of different things. And, my mantra is kind of like, we've got to protect 1A and 2A, and we can disagree on everything else, but we need to agree on those two things, because that's the only way that we ever get to defend anything else. And so that's kind of what blows my mind about the anti-gunners. And I'm going to be super frank with you right now. That's what's kind of blown my mind about the African-American community. Up until recently is, I think that there was a lot of indoctrination there. And I think that they're starting to get hip to the fact that we need the Second Amendment too.
Right.
The LGBT community is starting to get hip to the fact that we need the Second Amendment too. People want to kill us because we're gay. People want to kill us because we're black. People want to kill us because we're Muslim. Like, that's real shit. And so if you're not going to, if you're not going to put yourself in a position where you can handle that, that's on you. And it's every individual's responsibility, every able-bodied individual's responsibility, I really feel like, to have this defense education. Parents need to start teaching their kids. I mean, this is big stuff, and we've got a lot of kids at my range that I work at in Grapevine that they're bringing their kids, and and I think that's a good thing, because you want to have consistent consistent messages between the parental units, between the mother and the father, or in the LGBT community, between the mother and the mother and the father and the father. I mean, you've got to have consistent messages on what it means to keep kids safe, and you can't be with your children 24/7.
Exactly.
It doesn't work like that. And so I'm hoping that as you start to formulate your classes, I mean, God, if you need help, please, 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 reach out to me, because as you start to formulate these classes, talking about mindset is just as important as the physical training. Wrapping your head. Yeah.
That's something that I talk about too, because as you said, like a lot of people that I know, a lot of women that I know in my community, African American community, they're taught not to be around firearms. That's what we're taught. For example, I remember when my brother, at a younger age, he was afraid to walk home from school. I remember him stressing that he was afraid to walk home from school. And he started hanging around his friend who had firearms, because no one would listen that he was afraid to walk home from school. And once my mom found out, she made him cut off his friend, cut off that family. But it's the mindset. She was taught not to be around firearms. So I want to change the mother's mindset in the home that we too can carry. We too can teach our children, and it's not just the dad's job or duty to protect the home. It's also ours.
100%. And, and I get it. Men are bred to be protectors, like it's in their blood. But this is a whole new mindset that's coming into play because the family unit isn't what it used to be. We got a lot of single moms out there. I've got a nonprofit called WADE, which is the Women's Awareness and Defense Endeavor. And I raise money, and I'm about to do another fundraiser here in the next couple of days because I've got 9 women who have left abusive relationships during this COVID pandemic, and they're single moms now. And they had the courage to leave the abusive relationship. They've stayed gone. Okay. And now they're like, now I'm in this whole new situation where I got to protect my kids. I don't know how to protect my kids. And so we've got to get that education out to the single moms. And the Second Amendment isn't just for people who can afford it. So
Right.
we as, Second Amendment advocates who have jobs and maybe a little bit of disposable income, we need to help these moms out, and I had a really great conversation with 2 African-American guys that came into the range today. They're both barbers. And they were like, hey, this place is great. Like we want to get our license to carry, man. We're starting to see some crazy things going on and we feel like we need to take charge of it. And I was like, man, you do. I said, and you know what? I would love for you to help me reach more people in the African-American community because they need this education. I went up, Kevin Dixie. He's the one that hooked us up. I went to St. Louis with him, or I met him in St. Louis, just a few months ago, right before the whole COVID stuff started. And he kind of took me around St. Louis, drove me through the hood. He's like, this is where I grew up. And there are Black people in St. Louis that don't even know they can legally own a gun. They think they can just because they're Black. And I'm having this conversation with these, 2 barber guys in the retail space of this gun range I work at. And they were like, Jerah, no shit. Like, we have friends that think that. Like, we have literally people that we know in our community that think that they can't legally own a gun because of the color of their skin. And that's the education that's out there. And we've got to move forward from that. We've got to go in there and we've got to teach the minority communities that this is their amendment too. This is their right too.
It's for everyone.
And they get to have it.
I agree.
They get to have it. And so you're going to do amazing things in Florida. You're going to reach people that I would never be able to touch. And I'm just like, I'm super stoked that you took it upon yourself to get this done.
Thank you.
I really am. So tell me about what kind of classes that you either are teaching or want to teach.
Well, right now I'm doing like at home or private classes. I'm trying to get like group classes. I realize, more women do better and well in environments where they can lean on each other and, discuss certain situations. But yeah, I'm working on doing group classes, but right now I'm just doing like one-on-one.
Okay. One-on-one classes. And are you going going in their house and like teaching like dry fire techniques and things like that?
Yes.
Okay. And that's good. I mean, that's something, that's an education that we can spread too, is a lot of people don't understand how much education they can get just simply through dry fire techniques. And then you can save a little bit of money and then go to the range, a couple times a month to kind of learn to manage that recoil and work on marksmanship. But you can get real familiar with your firearm at home if you know the proper way to clear it and to make sure that it's safe. Now, Crystal's on here and she says, this is why representation matters. And we have to show positive images of responsible gun ownership in our community. And she could not be more right.
Right.
She could not be more right. So we have to be real cognizant as instructors and teachers really too, what kind of pictures we take on the internet, and how we're doing certain things. And we always have to make sure that safety comes first and that we're spreading that message too. So it really is about mindset, safety, and then the physical execution of the firearm. And we have to remember that situational awareness comes first, because the best gunfight that you're ever in is one that you avoid altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just given your background and what you've talked about that you do for a living, is going to really, you're going to like elevate that. I bet I could learn so much from you. I teach situational awareness, and I bet there's a myriad of things that you know that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to come to Florida and take one of your situational awareness classes. And as a matter of fact, since you're in Florida, you should talk with Rob Pincus, because he's over in St. Augustine. How far is that from you?
St. Augustine, couple hours.
Okay.
Probably
So
like 1 or 2.
yeah, because he's got a pretty big following out there, and I would love to get with him and let's put together like a situational awareness, and maybe like situational awareness, non-lethal weapons, or situational awareness, introduction to handgun. And then I want to see you teach that, and I want to just like gush over how much I'm going to learn from you, because that's amazing. I love that. So Crystal also says, I had a person say that Black people should train but not post or brag about it. And I forget how people are going to know if they don't see. And you know what, Crystal, you're right. They got to see. Like, you have to influence your own communities, because the people who are most like you are the people that are going to listen to you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. I could go in and teach license to carry classes to African Americans all day, but it might not be the same.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are going to have things to talk about, things I don't know, things I don't get. And you guys can really do a lot in the community by going and reaching your own people, but you have to be ready for the backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because this is an education that's starting to permeate minority communities, and there are people that are a part of your minority community that aren't ready for this yet.
They are.
They're not ready to be patriots. They're not ready for this freedom. They're not ready to talk about this. They're not ready to be pro-gun. And that what they don't understand yet, and what we have to teach, is that we got to compartmentalize the Second Amendment from everything else. Okay? The Second Amendment is its own thing. And it's all about defense of self. It's all about defense of life. And then we can, like I said, we can debate and talk about everything else. Because you might have a whole different belief system than I do about other hot button issues.
Mm-hmm.
But what we can agree on in the foundation, and it is a foundation, because the right to defend oneself is above everything. Okay? It really is. And so it's above your feelings. It's above anything you feel. It's a number one. And so if we can agree on that, that makes conversations a little more civil. Because when you understand that the person that you're having a conversation with could also be armed, mm-hmm. I think you're probably apt to be a little bit nicer. Maybe hear somebody out. Maybe articulate your views a little more politely. And that's how we get things done, is when we're in an adult ego state to adult ego state. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I
Exactly.
completely agree.
So tell me about some of the classes that you want to put together, that you'd love to see yourself teach.
Well, I want to see myself teach like stop the bleed classes, self-awareness, hopefully soon rifle classes, everything across the board. I want women to know everything when it comes to firearms, so that they can be ready for any situation.
So
and not just firearms as well, just like survival classes,
mm-hmm. Medical.
Yeah, exactly. The get home bag, everything.
Go bags are good.
Yeah.
Go bags are real good. Argo J and Kevin Dixie did an incredible live not too long ago about what you should have in your go bag, like what your survival, what your survival supply should look like. And it was super, super informative. And I thought I had a good go bag. And then I was like, hey, man, I got like 3 more things I got to put in there. So you're always learning, you're always learning stuff. But here's an interesting comment. So Dave Miller, my buddy Dave, hey, you. He says there are just as many white folks not ready or mature enough either. And you're not wrong. But here's the difference. And I'm going to tell you the difference. White people have never had a problem with gun ownership. It's never been an issue for us, right? And if we look back through history, we see a purposeful denial of gun ownership to African Americans all throughout history. And this is part of why these communities think the way they do now, and why we have to purposefully permeate these communities and give them this good education. And I mean, what do you think about that?
I completely agree. Sorry. I completely agree. In our community, or the first thing when I ask someone, why aren't you carrying? Why don't you own a firearm? Why aren't you legally licensed? So I can get stopped by the police, or so they can catch me with a firearm and I get shot. So I could be looked at as a bad guy, or, that's just the mindset that a lot of people have. They're afraid to be looked at as either someone, a threat, than someone who's actually exercising their 2A rights,
Exactly. And once again, that's about mindset. And that's also about, fighting the good fight where it needs to be fought. I mean, we're seeing some big issues with police right now. And we have to also understand that, most police officers are really good people. Okay. But power can corrupt. Okay. Authority can corrupt. And we have to call out these people who are abusing their power, abusing their authority. But we also have to understand that most police officers are good. Okay. And so I think that that's the answer, is educating these minority communities that seem to be quote unquote targeted. Okay. That way that we can communicate the right way. Having a license to carry, at least in Texas, I'm not sure how it goes in Florida, but, in Texas, they have to run an FBI background check on you. So if you present a valid license to carry, this really shouldn't be an issue in the minority community, because the police are going to know that you've had a background check, that you don't have any felonies on your record, you're not chemically dependent, you're not a fugitive from the law. Like, to me, that's good, like that a police officer should look at that and go, this is a good person. This is a decent person. And so I'm hoping that that's what is going to happen when we permeate these minority communities in Texas. But I'm not sure if that's how it works in Florida, and I'm not sure what your license to carry requirements are there.
Oh no, it's similar to that as well.
That's really good. Well, and do you follow Argo J?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, great. So he just came up. Hey, Argo.
That's my cousin. Hey, Jay.
Hey. We were just talking about you. You joined about 3 minutes too late. But so I want to have these conversations. I know they're not comfortable conversations. But we have to have them, because we have to be the influence to our communities and go, this is a problem. We need to recognize that it's an issue. We need to acknowledge that we have not learned history the correct way.
Right.
And then we need to move forward in solidarity and go, how do we fix it? What do we do to fix it? And the one solution that I keep seeing over and over again is education. And, we have to be willing to be accessible. And you're showing that you do that. You're showing that you are by you're willing to go to people's houses. That's dangerous anyway, girl.
Yeah, it is.
But we got to step out of our comfort zone. And go, I'm willing to do this because I think that you're that important. Like, the education is that important. You are that important. This community is that important. The African American community is this important. The Asian community, the Latina community, the white community, it's all important. Okay. But we have to be willing to step out of our comfort zone and listen and reach people that we wouldn't normally be able to. And I'm really loving what you're doing, and I think you're going to do great things.
Thanks. Yeah, going to people's houses, that was to get them out of the excuse of not being able, because, the coronavirus scare. So the excuse of not being able to do it right now. Oh, we can do it. I'll come to you. And
I'm going to tell you right now, that is the excuse I hate the most. And every once in a while, I get frustrated enough to call people out. Okay. Because I've got these people that follow my page, these people that are my friends on Facebook, and I'll post a class and they're like, God, I wish I had the time to come to that. You know, it's one of these days I'm going to get there. And I'm like, why not now?
Right.
Why not make the time now? Why not go, hey, Jerah's having a class on Thursday night. I've got a happy hour with my girlfriends planned. I see my girlfriends all the time. Why not say, you know what? I'm going to go get this gun education right quick, and I'm going to see y'all at next week's happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so we have to think about educating people and influencing people on their priorities. You know, like, what are your priorities? Is your priority alcohol, or is your priority safety? I'm not saying you can't go to happy hour, but what I am saying is you need to, like, on May 31st, you need to start looking at June and going, what gun classes am I going to take, or what safety classes am I going to take this month, or how many hours do I have to carve out to go to the gun range? Like, this is what we as women need to be talking about with other women. Mm-hmm. And go, hey, instead of that happy hour date, let's take an hour and go to the range first, and then let's hop over to the bar and talk about it. Let's make that our happy hour, part of our happy hour. You know what I mean? And the ownership at Texas Gun Experience where I work is so cool, because they're like, come in early in the morning. Like, you don't have to abide by these operating hours. Like, we open at 10 in the morning. Why can't I have a group of women that come at 8 in the morning, you know, and knock it out and get it done? And I'll do that. And that's me getting up early, sacrificing my time so that these women can do that. But I want to do it because I want them to not have this excuse of, I don't have time, you know? So that's why I hold classes for anybody, anytime they want. I did a group of ER doctors that wanted to start their class at 10 o'clock at night. Fine with me, as long as you're getting it done, because I understand what it's like to be busy. And so if you as an instructor are willing to make yourself accessible like that and have that flex schedule, I think you're going to reach a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina Gun School. I love this dude. He's awesome. He's like, I've just become the asshole when I talk to women about this. But you know what? I mean, it's, you know, and it can be different coming from dudes. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because, you know, women got to get it in their heads that, like, you know, your husbands aren't telling you this because they're trying to be assholes. They're trying to tell you this because they want you to be safe when they're not around. They want you to be able to have confidence in your ability to physically defend yourself and your children. They tell you this because they care about you. Mm-hmm. They love you and they want you to be alive, okay? But moms of, are you a mom?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me I'm wrong. Moms are soft targets.
Yeah, they are.
Moms of little kids especially, because they're constantly distracted.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, how old is your child?
I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Prime distraction. How many times a day do you hear mommy?
I can't even count.
How many times a day do you hear mommy? Okay. You have it even worse because you're the mommy, and all kids between the ages of 2 and 10 want mommy. Okay. And so you have to be able to not only juggle mommy, but you also have to be able to juggle mommy being situationally aware of what dangers might be coming towards your kids. We got human trafficking running amok in this country. And so I would almost argue that moms have it a little bit harder, especially when they're out in public alone with their kids. Because people are looking for that. They're saying the mom is the easy target. The mom is the one that's not going to be able to pull this off. The mom is the one. And we have to create moms that can handle that shit. So that people start learning that moms aren't soft targets anymore, and y'all better be watching out.
Yes.
That's what we have to do. We need more women instructors. We need more females that can go and testify at these hearings about why more gun control doesn't work. And we need women who are instructors to go do that too, because we can speak to the education factor. We can speak to being mothers. We can speak to being women. We can speak to being soft targets. And we can speak to it not being fair when you're trying to put more control on what we're trying to do. Exactly. We don't need more control because you're not going to come save us. We have to save ourselves. And that's a scary responsibility in and of itself that we have to get used to. We don't need you taking away our ability. We don't need you to take away our tools to be able to do that. We need more freedom to do it. taking you to church, Tiffany.
Oh yeah, I'm
You hear me?
listening.
Okay.
I agree.
You need to start telling people about it. Okay. So, do you have any ranges that you train at now in Florida?
So far I'm training at Pembroke Gun Range and Big Owls. I'm trying to get with some outdoor ranges as well. They're a little bit more south, like more down south towards Miami, but I'm trying to be spread out, like I said before, so that there are no excuses. I can either come to you or you can come to me.
Okay. And do you like do this just on your Instagram, or are you like advertising via social media or like Facebook, I mean, as well?
No, I'm trying to actually get into it. This is how I've been word of mouth. So social media, I'm trying to get more into, especially Facebook, Instagram, trying to get used to that. But so far it's kind of been word of mouth.
And it will be, and that's good. I mean, having a grassroots campaign, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that getting into some of these Second Amendment women's groups, and because there are other instructors obviously in those groups, but there are a lot of new shooters. And so going in there and maybe introducing yourself and saying, hey, I'm an instructor in this area of Florida. If you're in this area of Florida, let's connect. And, the people that kind of comment and say, oh, I'm 25 miles away or I'm 10 miles away, like connect with them, make your own group, the
Right.
Girls Gone Tactical or whatever.
Girls Get Tactical.
Girls Get Tactical group, and then get those women in there and have them invite more women in there, because that word of mouth is gonna put women in your group, and you're gonna be able to talk to them at the same time. And put out, information for classes, and that's how you're going to fill your classes up. And I want you to keep me posted on your class schedule as well, because I want to come to Florida and I want to take one of your classes. I want to see you teach.
All right.
I want to do that. So now we got some homework, right? So now we've got to get you in some groups. We got to get your Facebook presence up a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get you hooked up with Amy Robbins too, because when you start talking about holsters and stuff like that, like I don't know if you're going to teach like maybe an introduction to draw from holster, but you need to have some ladies holster options that are available for all different women, all different heights, all different sizes. Like they're going to all want different things, and they're all going to dress different. So educating yourself on what that looks like is going to be beneficial to you as well.
Right. I also go over that as well. As far as carrying, I know that's a concern with women, how to carry without changing how you dress or how you live or walk around. Will it be too bulky?
Yeah.
Do I have to keep it in my purse? So.
And that's one thing that the Alexo Athletica line does really well, is you can dress those pants up or you can dress them down. They can be athletic wear, or you could put a nice flowy top with them, some dressy boots, and now all of a sudden you're ready to go out to the club. So it's a really cool line. One thing I would tell you about purse carry is be careful.
Oh no, I don't agree with purse carry. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to do it that's better, but it's still not ideal. And so I'll send you a copy of my Preparing What You Wear workshop, so you can get an idea of how I teach that, and then feel free to use it, and you can spice it up, throw your own spin on it, whatever you want to do. But if it's going to be a good foundation for you to kind of look at women's concealed carry and different holsters and things like that. Because as I go through each method of carry, I say this is rated this, right? So this is the most ideal, this is the least ideal, but it's still an option for you if you want to do it. But I am not an advocate of purse carry at all, but there is a better way to do it than a lot of women know.
I try to stray people from that. I mean, it's hard to find your keys in your purse.
Oh, yes.
Your wallet. It's hard to find anything in your purse. So when your life is dependent on it and you're trying to find your firearm and it's not there, and then you have to reach for it, unholster it. Hopefully it's, has one in the chamber. You doing all that, you might have seconds worth of time to save your life. So I don't really agree with it.
Don't get me started with these people that carry out that don't have one in the chamber. I can't. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. It's about a comfort level. I don't want you to carry how you're uncomfortable, but you got to get comfortable.
Comfortable.
Okay.
Exactly.
And that takes time. You know, you gotta get there, because carrying without one in the chamber is just freaking silly. It's just a silly thing to do. So silly. Well, what else do you have for me, hon?
I wanted to know, first, how did you get started into firearms, and what got you started into firearms?
Well, I grew up in a hunting family, so I've been shooting
Oh,
since I was
okay.
12, but not handguns. I didn't get into handguns until my early 20s. I had a stalker. It was a weird situation,
Mm.
and also very scary. And so I thought to myself, I gotta know more than just the shotgun, okay? Because I'm going out into the world and I'm doing stuff, and I'm single and I live alone and all these things. And so I started taking handgun classes at this range that wasn't too far away from me, and hated, honestly, every minute of it, because I was being trained by guys who were very impatient with my lack of knowledge, you know. And I'll tell you, it's easy to do, right? So as an experienced shooter now, sometimes I find myself getting frustrated as well, but I've trained myself to internalize that.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to bring out the patience, you know, because you have to remember, you have to take a flashback and go, I was once this student, you know. And I never had a female instructor. They weren't prevalent 15 years ago when I started doing this. And so what it made me want to do after I was trained to a certain level is I was like, you know what? No wonder women don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder they're afraid of it. You know, no wonder this is unappealing, you know, because nobody's making it fun. Nobody has a good attitude about it. You know, like everybody, like you walk in the room and you can visibly see instructors going, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You walk into a retail space 15 years ago, you could visibly see retail employees going, oh my God. You
Yeah.
know, you could hear them talking about you. They didn't think that you could hear them, but you could hear them, you know? And so it's like, why do I want to do this if nobody's like wanting to embrace me into it and go, this belongs to you too.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so we've come a long way in 15 years. We've come a long way in mindset in general in the Second Amendment community, and women are being embraced into it, and I'm loving this change. But I wanted to become an instructor because I didn't want women to have to deal with what I had to deal with. You know, now there's an accountability factor there too, though, you know, because there are a lot of women that are like, you know, there are a lot of my female clients that are like, well, I don't want to take a class if you don't teach it. And I'm like, girl, you better get out of that mindset, because I am not the end all be all when it comes to guns. There's a lot I don't know. I don't teach advanced training. I take advanced training. Okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get you where you need to be to take that advanced
To
training,
be
but you
ready.
better get comfortable. You better start loving dudes, because that's who you're fixing to train with, you
Yeah.
know? And I've got to get you confident enough to be able to do that. And that's where it's at. So that's how I got into it, is because, you know, I enjoyed shooting. I just hated taking training because, you know, nobody that was training me really fucking wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And
And
that was
so
my next question, like your obstacles in starting this. What were your obstacles being a woman?
I mean,
And
I had like this much of a leg up because I come from a military family, so I'm salty anyway. And
okay.
so like I really didn't take none of that bullshit that they tried to hand me. I was like, look, I don't need your attitude. I need you to show me how to do it. Okay? I'll figure it out after that, right? But I need you to show me how to do it. I need you to teach me something I don't know. Okay? And then we'll move on from there. And that was my biggest obstacle, was not being, you know, I wasn't treated well.
Right.
And so I wanted to start treating people well. And it, you know, I mean, it's like, if you're not treated well at a store, you don't want to go bring your business there. You don't spend your dollar there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I was caught between a rock and a hard place because I needed and wanted this training, but there were like nearly no female trainers in my area. So I had to deal with what I had, you know. And I wanted to create a different environment. I wanted to teach women well. I wanted to be patient with them. I wanted them, honestly, I wanted to give them a safe space to ask what they felt to be were dumb questions. But there aren't dumb questions, because you have to understand what a hammer is. You have to know what a safety is. You have to learn what a barrel is, and a grip and a trigger guard. And you have to understand grip, stance, sight picture, trigger pull. Like, somebody has to take you from your infancy and raise you up.
Right.
You know, in
without
this.
making you feel bad about asking, those questions. Yeah.
And that was my huge obstacle. But really what it did was, and I'm honestly thankful for it, because it gave me a purpose, you know, in it, and a purpose outside of just my own safety, you know. And then as I got to know more and more women, and as I got to influence more and more women to come into the gun culture, to understand that they have a responsibility to themselves and their family, and to understand ultimately that nobody is coming to save you. Once you know and understand all of these things, the gun it's a piece of cake. It's not hard to learn. It's just you getting over your fear. And you don't get over your fear easily when people are treating you awfully. You get over your fear easily when someone is there that you trust, you know. And so I've seen this, you know, in the last 15 years, I've seen this huge influx of female trainers, and I'm loving it. And so my advice to you, the biggest piece of advice that I can give you is, number one, semantics matter. Okay. You're not a trainer if you're not a trainer. Okay. But you've done what you've needed to do to get that education. And now you're learning how to teach. Right. And so try to refer to yourself as a teacher and not an instructor, because an instructor is somebody that shows you how to do something. A teacher is somebody that makes sure that you understand the information. Okay. And so I consider myself a teacher. And so what I would do is, as you walk through this education, figure out what you're really, really good at. Figure out where your passion lies. So for me, my passion lies in the new shooter and all introductory classes. That's where my passion lies, because I want to get women, especially, I'll teach anybody, but I teach a lot of women and I teach a lot of youth. Okay. And I want people to understand what they're good at and really focus on that. And it's not that you can't teach other stuff. It's just that, man, when you're really get in and you hone in on what you're especially good at, and for me, it's all introductory classes. I love to take advanced training. I don't want to teach it.
Right.
I don't want to teach it, you know? So I want people to understand that semantics matter, because it's really, it's hard in the gun world, because there's not really any, like, you know, you don't go to college for it. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a certification and, you know, and things like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're super good at what you do. You know what I mean? And so if you're going to be an instructor, if you're going to be a teacher, you really have to be one, and you can't just refer to yourself as one because you've taken a few classes. You know what I mean? There's an art to it, and you have to understand all the things that surround it, including mindset, which you understand, right? Including the physical execution of the shot, and then whatever else that your class will entail, you know? That's why people who've seen combat and stuff like that, they're good at teaching those kind of classes because they've been there.
Right.
You know, I'm good at teaching introductory classes because I've been the person taking an introductory class that had a bad experience with another instructor, and I know what I want to get out of it and what I want to see. And so I just turned that into curriculum. And so I know that you want to teach all of these different things, and I'm not telling you that you can't, but what I am telling you is get good at one thing, teach it well, and then move on to learning the next thing. Get good at that thing, teach it well, and then move on to the next thing. But don't try to learn 3 platforms at the same time and how to teach 3 platforms at the same time. That's my advice. Now, you do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you what I think.
No, that's good advice. That's good advice. Because I agree. I like the introductory part as well. It's just the fact, just knowing and seeing women who thought that they couldn't do something, and at the end of the day, feel good and confident about what they're doing. That's a good feeling. So I actually like that as well.
It's an amazing feeling. And I tell my female students all the time, like, you're going to be so impressed with what you can do in a single hour. You're not even going to be the same person when you leave here, because you're going to go, oh my God, I've spent 10 years or 15 years or 20 years afraid to do this. And in 1 hour, my life is different. In 1 hour, I have a whole new skill set, you know, and it's a whole new skill set that you have to nurture, right? So we have to be talking to women about this maintenance program. Like, where do you go next? What's your pathway to training? You know, we have to be talking about that too. But just in a single hour, what you can take away from that, what a woman can take away from that, mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And it's going to give you incredible purpose. It's going to give you so much reward in your heart, and it's going to be just this amazing just pathway. You're going to get you're just going to have a lifetime of women that you're going to connect with that, you know, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, they're going to go, man, she changed my world. And you're going to influence people that you never thought you'd ever be able to touch.
Exciting.
I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
We've got like a few more minutes. Did you have anything else before we hop off?
No. I really appreciate you taking the time to, you know, get on here with me tonight. I want to link up with you.
Yeah.
As far as the information, I'll let you know what I do as well. And guys who are following, please go to my page, support. I'm going to be coming out with some new content. I'm linking up with some instructors and two-way advocates down here, some ladies. We're going to be putting out some content for YouTube and some instructional videos. So it'll be great.
So go follow her. Follow Tiffany. Her Instagram handle is Girls Get Tactical. All together, Girls Get Tactical. So give her a follow. If you're an influencer, if you're a trainer, instructor, teacher on this thread, give her a follow. Reach out to her in her direct messages and let her know you support her, and let her know she can reach out to you if she has questions. You can always reach out to me and schedule a time to FaceTime with me if you have questions, or if you have curriculum that you're writing and you're like, hey, can you look this over and, you know, let me know if I'm good. And then I want to send you over my situational awareness curriculum and let you look it over, you know, and you can tell me if I'm doing it right. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, even though we're teachers, we're still students. We're students forever. So
forever. I also want to give a shout out to Riddick Firearms Training. I told him my mission, what I wanted to do, and he got me trained and ready and certified. So thank you, Riddick, for all that you do.
Man, that's awesome, man. Good girl. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on. It was good to get to know you, and I hope to talk to you a lot more in the future.
You too. Have a good night.
Have a good night, honey.
Welcome. Hello to everybody out there. Yeah. We are looking good. Well, shit, I'm looking good. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. All right. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to Friday. This is going to be our final official Stogies and Straps.
All right, we're going to get this thing going. Our guest is coming in, and look, this is going to be a lively one. I'm doing it a little bit different tonight, you heard me, because of our guest that's coming on. Okay, there she is. Okay, she's just getting adjusted there. All right. Now, meantime, okay, I should be good. All right. So I hope everybody out there, you're inverted. You're like,
am I inverted? Okay.
Yeah, like.
Let me do some adjustments here.
All right. You can add a little bit of light to the flavor. That'll be good too. Oh, now you're real high.
Okay. Hang on. I got this new thing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And
there you go. Now you're in frame.
Okay. This is about all the light I got right now.
All right. Can you scoot any closer?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to stay that far back. Yeah. Come on in here, girl.
I'm gonna get up in here.
Yeah. There you go. Now you're brightening up. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. All right. Now that we got all that off the way, we have to make sure. Okay, I know I can hear you because we were talking. Okay, I think I'm in frame now. Yeah, all right, here we go. Get some housekeeping out the way. Welcome, everybody, to our Friday episode of Stogies and Straps. Now, this is going to be a good one because this is the last official show of the year. And I'm going to get the housekeeping stuff out the way. We're going to introduce our guests, and we're just going to get right to it. All right, so you understand by now by watching Stogies and Straps, we have the Stogies because Stogies represents a mature crowd. If you ever want to have a cigar, had a Stogie, normally you bring about a different level of, let's just say, maturity with it, right? It comes with a different level of maturity. So that is our relaxed conversation. We don't take any answers personally. It's just two Americans sharing how they feel about whatever they're discussing. That's all it is. No reason to get mad about it. And then we have the strap, all right? But we're going to stop with the Stogie for a second because I'm trying to get better at this. The Stogie I'm going to have this evening is the Olivia V, okay? This is their larger now. I've been having Olivias all week, all right? This is their larger. This is a kind of a medium-ish, if you will, kind of on the light side, right to medium cigar. This is a larger gauge, a little bit bigger of a stick. Pause, okay? Nice burn. This one will run you about maybe an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, depending on, how hard you're smoking it. Pause. All right. So, that's what we're having tonight. We're having Olivia. Hey, no, you're gonna give your Stogie and your strap at the same time. All right, and then our strap of the night that represents having the freedom to say whatever you want and be free to say it, as long as you're not bringing harm to anybody. Our strap of the night is gonna be a classic. All right. This is the Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum. All right. This is beautiful, beautiful piece here. All right.
I love that.
It's a nice boy, This is a grip's a nice, it is the original grip. This is just, come on. How can you not like the 44 mag, right? I don't care what barrel length it is. You just got to love the 44 mag. It doesn't get any better. Now, I want to tell you guys something else before we get to our guest here. Tonight's episode is brought to you by nootherchoice.com. And we do our live episode deals. So over on nootherchoice.com right now, I do have a couple of things to tell you. One, at nootherchoice.com, if you buy any SBA tactical pistol brace, okay, we are taking 100% of those proceeds and donating those over to FPC to help with the pending lawsuits in the country. Okay, 100% of the proceeds. Two, if you spend over $100 on a website, you get a free magazine. Free 30-round magazine. If you live in a state that doesn't understand 30, we give you a free 10. And our ultimate deal of the night, we do have a limit of 5, and I'm going to show you our limited run of NOC wear hats. I'm going to show you those in a minute. Those will be available to you. You will know about those first. And we're going to have 30-round magazines on the website tonight during this live episode for a whopping, you won't believe me when I say it, we're going to have 30-round magazines, as much as magazines are about to go up, for a whopping $9.99. Okay? So, don't ever say that I didn't try to look out for you. Okay? The magazines are priced right now. I am changing the price as we speak. Okay? My team is going to yell at me. They're going to be very upset at me, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's what we're going to do. Bam. Bam. You have 30-round magazines, amend 2s, for $9.99. Doing this live only. Hey, go over there and grab some. So once again, it's brought to you by nootherchoice.com. Please sign up for the email list while you're there. Sign up for the email list and you get an additional 10% off. Spend over $100, get a free magazine. Buy a pistol brace over 100. Huh?
I feel like that's the deal.
It's a deal, dude. Right? $10 for a mag, $9.99. Spend over $100, get a free mag. Buy a pistol brace, it's over $100, you get a free mag, and you get to donate back to FPC. Win-win. All the wins. Now, enough with me. Enough with me. We have to get to our beautiful guest. I haven't had anyone beautiful on this week, so I get to say beautiful finally, which is good. All right, we get to our beautiful guest. So our beautiful guest, please tell us who you are. Let us know what stogie you're enjoying and what is your strap of the night.
Well, all right. I'm Jerah Hutchins, and I own Tier 1 security company out of Dallas, Texas, and I own Clearing the Chamber, which is a training company that focuses mostly on women and youth. And I am I'm smoking the Hound. That's what this is called. It's called the Hound. So I'm in a cigar group where people like trade cigars and they review cigars, and somebody gave me this one, and I gotta say, it's delicious. It's super smooth. It's probably a mid grade, but it goes well with the bourbon is the deal. So I'm also drinking a Chestnut Farms Bottled in Bond. What I got right here. So I'm pairing it, and then peep my glass. Look, it's got my like initial, like my name on it and shit. And then if I need to talk to you, I can just throw my cigar in the little thingy there.
Keep talking.
You know what I'm saying? You got excited.
I did. Look. See, this is why I tell people. Now, me and Jerah did not talk before this show.
Nope.
It's very important to understand it. Jerah, check it out. Check it out.
Stop it!
Come on, man. Come on, man. It's too awesome. Too awesome. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's too good. And so I got that going on for Stogie. So the Hound, I gotta say, I recommend the Hound. And then I'm going with the trusty G43.
Okay.
One is my usual everyday carry. And then if you look, I got this sweet Don't Tread on Me backslide plate that I threw on there the other day. So this is I got some Hogue grips on this bad boy, night sights. Okay. So this is just, it's my trusty everyday carry.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going with today. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to surprise people, haven't seen me do what I'm about to do on Stogies and Straps. So I'm going to take this beautiful thing. Give me 30, not even 30 seconds, 3 seconds. Let me put it back where it belongs, because I'm not going to act out, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to lock things. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I got a feeling we're going to have a real good conversation tonight. I'm going to break out something that I normally don't, and this is what I'm going to do. So here's my trusty glass. Yes, it does have rocks in it. A lot of them. I just was scooping them in because I want to be late for the show. And here's what I'm going to, I want to drop stuff. So tonight you're going to get to see a relaxed conversation. I advise everybody at home to be relaxed with us, because we are going to I'm going to have some delicious Hennessy White.
Oh, now.
Yeah.
Now
Hennessy
we're getting to it. Cheers.
I'm going cheers all day. Now, if I can ever get this stupid top to come off and cooperate with me.
You can put any creamers in that?
You got them damn jokes. It's your damn fault I'm dealing with all this backlash on the internet now, Jerah.
Everybody needs to know where Six Creamers comes from anyway.
That's true. They do.
Also, you should know that Rob is a little upset because he thinks you dressed up a little bit more for me than you did when you had him on the show. I dressed up? Yeah, Rob thinks you dressed up more for me than you did when you had him on the show.
I had on a jacket and a beanie. Now, I did get my beard trimmed. Now, that is true. Got my beard. Look, and people don't think I have hair. I actually do have hair, see? All right? I actually do have hair. So, yeah, you can be jealous about that. He's just mad. He's just mad because I didn't call him beautiful. That's what it is. All right. So, I am going to give me a dabble of this, and I'm going to start asking the questions. Now, let me start off with this. Now, I think this is a good one. Now, you, ma'am, I think are a very humble person. So you clearly didn't go through what? I knew you looked better. Oh, yeah, shut up, Rob. So this is going to be a good convo. Now, I happen to know that you're a very humble person. So, yeah, you mentioned 2 of the businesses you own, and you were very, very relaxed and very humble about mentioning all the different things you're into. But, see, that's the beautiful thing, because I get to pry this stuff out of you as the conversation goes on, right? All right. So, first, let's start and establish, okay, people, by saying you own the firearms training company, and your firearms training company is hyper-focused, not isolated, but hyper-focused on women and youth. Okay, so clearly, one would assume you believe in the Second Amendment just because you train people to use firearms, right? Not a problem there. You also own a security company. Okay, great. So an entrepreneur, firearms instructor. There's something else you've recently done that is going to set the tone for when we start having a conversation of freedom. And you did this in a great state of Texas. Can you tell us what pledge or what oath you just took in a great state of Texas?
I swore into the Texas State Guard.
Okay. And what is your mission with the Texas State Guard?
The Texas State Guard actually has an insane history. If you ever care to read about it, but the short version is that we've sort of evolved over the decades. We started out, we were formed right before the Alamo, and Stephen F. Austin was our first commander. And we were formed originally to protect the colony from Indian raids. And then we sort of evolved into a first responder unit for medical and logistics. So we were first boots on the ground for the Beaumont riots, which I'm sure you know about. Mm-hmm. We were first boots on the ground for the Texas City disaster, which is where that big ship of ammonium nitrate blew up, and very similar to what we saw earlier in the state with earlier in the year with what happened in Beirut. And we were first boots on the ground for Hurricane Katrina. We were there before the National Guard was. So we set up the shit, and we briefed them, and then we worked together. So we work a lot with the National Guard, but we can only be activated by the governor. And then I am I work in logistics. So when there's a natural disaster, I set up supply lines, and I set up logistics to traffic out refugees or people that need to be rescued, and I put them in safe houses, safe places. And then I also work in the SSU unit, which is the Special Security Unit. So we're an armed unit that does protection within the Texas State Guard.
You see what I mean by humble? You see how she can just spout off facts like that? Not the fact that she just, joined the Guard. She can break down the history. Jerah's no secret. Jerah's one of my favorite people in this thing. Absolutely. Think she knows that. Everybody knows that. I speak very highly of you. So, all right, I wanted to establish that so when we move forward, people understand they have a base foundation to say, oh, this woman's legit, right? With what she believes in. All right. Give them something to go off of. So now we're going to get into the questions. One everybody wants to talk about, Jerah, there's no avoiding it. It's across everybody's screen. It's across everybody's radars. Is the ATF, okay? The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which we represented all three here tonight very quickly, okay? So the ATF, I know you're abreast, but there might be somebody out there that's not. The ATF has, not too long ago came out saying, you know what, we don't like these pistol brace thingies, okay? We don't like them. We used to like them. We kind of sort of didn't used to like them. Now we just don't like them. And now we're going to figure out a way to get rid of them. So they put out this little letter, right? And they're threatening us essentially through written form that they are considering taking action. And they want your opinion about it through the Federal Registry. And then we have them also going after not the polymer 80 lower frames, the buy, build, shoot kits that include the 80% lower frames. We have them going after that. And we know that reports are, we know that they went to Polymer 80. We know that they went to certain large retailers seeking customer records. We understand that. We know that there are, I would kind of say, unfounded rumors that there are agents going door to door. Don't know about that. This is what I'm hearing. But I don't know. All right. This is what I haven't seen the proof of that yet, but that's what's being said. But either way, the ATF is on a tear. What's your opinion about all this?
Fuck them.
Oh.
Just fuck them, I've often given thought over the last few years of, pulling a Ron Swanson and going and getting a job at the ATF so that I can dismantle it from the inside. But, we may or may not happen. We'll see. But I think that the thing that I think that people are so confused about this because they really don't understand, because they haven't taken the time to educate themselves on what the ATF has authority over and what they're capable of doing. The ATF does not make law. The ATF enforces law. So there's a process here that people need to educate themselves on so that they can speak intelligently about it if they encounter one of these yahoos. And no legislature has passed a law that says that any of these braces or whatever are illegal. And so, my opinion on it is it's stupid. It's an incredible government overreach, but it's not like we're not used to that in 2020. We need to get unused to it is the deal. And
I think that a lot of people are, a lot of people are afraid to speak up, and for good reason. I don't think anybody wants, any of this to come to violence, but at the same time, it just might come to that. I mean, your liberty is literally in jeopardy, and this is the beginning of it, and almost everything that we've seen in 2020 is the beginning of it. So it's time to start stepping up and instead of talking, instead of having a thug life mouth and 911 fingers, it's time to start educating yourself.
Damn.
I went there.
Oh, say it again. Damn.
I'll say it again. Instead of having a 911 mouth, or instead of having a thug life mouth and 911 fingers, maybe you need to start educating yourself on your legislative process and start being present when these things are being talked about, right? I mean, that's how we want to fight it first, right? We don't want to start pulling triggers first. We don't want to talk about pulling triggers first. We want to talk about, being more active in the legislature. Pay attention to people like Rachel Malone. If you're not following Rachel Malone, she did an incredible live the other day. She's with Gun Owners of America, and she did an incredible live the other day calling people out about the shit that's happening in Texas with Terry Meza trying to repeal our castle doctrine law, making us a duty to retreat state. And she threw out the facts. And she was like, you're bitching about what Terry Mays is doing, but you're not fucking paying attention to what's going on over here. And I email you every week, and I spend time going to these legislative meetings. I mean, my business partner in my security company is a legislator. Like, I mean, we pay attention to this shit, and you got to cut it off, right? You got to cut it off at the root, and that's how you do it. And so if these sorry motherfuckers know that you're paying attention, they're going to tread a little lighter, but they're slipping things through because we're all in, fucking la land, not giving any of this a second thought, thinking it's going to be okay. They can't do it. You think the Second Amendment's untouchable? It's not. It's not untouchable. They're just waiting for the right time to strike. And so if you're not fighting in here as well, up here, and not just here, you got problems.
You know what? I told y'all, I knew I was going to need this tonight. I told you. I don't even drink like that, but I knew, damn it, tonight, I was going to need a drink. Okay, we have stogies and straps and sips is what we have tonight. All right, so Jerah, like I expected, no bullshit answer, right? And what I want to do is I want to reinforce what you said. I was having a conversation, and it was with Rob Pincus a couple of nights ago when he was on Stogies and Straps. And then I was having the other conversation with Jared's Guns and Gadgets. And you know what? I kind of with both of them. I kind of sort of lost it, right? And it wasn't with them. It was with the American people, right? Because GOA had recently put efforts, all right, to the state of Georgia. And I'm not saying they never have, but recently due to the Senate runoff, right? So they start promoting, and they're doing what they can to bring attention to it. And GOA uses all the, people in Georgia and all, people that have platforms around the country to bring attention to the state of Georgia, right? Along with other forces. I'm just using GOA as an example here, and credit to them. They did put in some work. And you know what? I talk to people, even though I've only been a Georgianian since the middle of the year. I talk to people. I'm like, hey, I've been through this fight in Missouri. Trust me, showing up means a lot. All right. So just, show up. Come on, show up. We're going to bring some awareness. Some people are going to knock on doors. If you don't want to knock on doors, give them lunch, drive them around, donate some gas money. Just come be a part of it. Just show up. We can worry about the rest later. In this entire state, it was in 2 coordinated locations. In this entire state with promo, radio spots, awareness, the whole 9 yards. There were less than 20 people that showed up in 2 different locations in this state.
I heard about that.
Collectively.
I heard about that. And that's sad. It's sad that people aren't willing to, put your babies in strollers and roll the fuck on. Like, come out, like, make this a family affair. This is the most opportune time that you have to teach your kids how important this is. I can't even believe it. I'm floored. I'm floored about it. And, Rob and I talked about that too. He texted me. He was like, I can't believe, what a low turnout, there is for this. And it's, but the history is kind of this vicious cycle where people just get too comfortable. They get too comfortable in this sort of illusion of safety, and they're not willing to get challenged, or they're not willing to challenge people who are elected officials. And I don't care. I lost a job over this. I lost a job over speaking truth to power. Okay.
Yep. And
I'm still here. So I'm still here. I'm still kicking it. I went and started another fucking business. I don't care. So now I can say whatever I want because nobody's my boss anymore. And I get that if you're not in that position, that can be scary for you because you're like, oh, what about my job? Listen, you're not going to have a job if the country turns to socialism, if our Second Amendment rights are taken away. It's not going to be a job anymore. You're going to be a slave. And so do you want to be a slave? We'll figure that out. Okay. I mean, and you know what the greatest example that we've seen of this, Kevin, are the people who've been coming to us. And believe me, I welcome you with open arms. Okay. But the people that have come to us and gone, this world's going crazy. I guess I need to buy a gun. You know where I can get some ammo? Never really thought about it before. And we've been telling these people for decades, years. People that have been following me for 5 or 6 years on social media are like, I guess I got to go buy a gun now. Good luck finding a good one. Good luck finding that ammo. Right? So it's like, and I tell ladies all the time, I'm like, you need one less Gucci bag and about 1,000 more rounds. That's what you need. Okay. So work your budget a little different.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? On top of that, the individuals that decided, I called them out, decided to stay their butts at home. All right, cool. Yeah. And look, and if you don't know, if you are a Georgian, it's my duty to tell you that early voting started 3 days ago now. All right. So early voting is already up. And the last time I checked, which was earlier today, over 1 million people in the state already cast their votes. I think it was 1.1 million. Okay. Now, please take advantage of the early voting before you get all, drunk and sloppy and fat over the holidays. Take advantage of the early voting and go ahead and get it out the way. I hold myself accountable. I casted my vote yesterday. Okay. So my vote is casted. Okay. Cast your vote. If I can move down here in 6 months, make sure I get a state ID so my vote can count here. And then to make sure that I show up to rally for people. And then to make sure that I show up and vote. And I've been here 6 months. And you've been here 30 years and you won't do it? We got a problem. Okay? Do it. Now,
Truth.
That being said, speaking of those pistol bracelets, they decided that the ATF, and, I know the information's out there. I will say you can find it on Military Arms Channel. You can find it on Coley on the Wars page. Several different places you can find it. I believe Guns and Gadget has it. If I'm not mistaken, Iraq Veteran 8888 has it. Several places you can find it, but there is a link for you to go comment. However, on the Federal Register. However, I do want to say something that is not true. I want to correct something. They do ask you for your name. It is not required that you leave your name like it was before. That's important to know. There is an option for you to submit it, and it will be submitted anonymously. Now, what I'm going to show you is not only should you go do that, and should you fill that thing out, you get about 5,000 characters, all right, which is a pretty decent amount. So I want you to keep me honest here, Jerah. What does that say? Your comment? CATF down there? 2020?
Yeah, your comment submitted.
Okay, so this is my email receipt. Hold on, put this down. Because I want everybody to know we just don't talk a good game here. This is my email receipt from, there's my comment. You see, I typed a lot of words. Okay?
You long-winded.
There's my
That's
comment.
The show.
Now, although they allow you to report anonymously, and everybody's like, oh my God, you Second Amendment advocates are so scary. In the comment, not just in the option box, in the comment, it says, now look, it says this information will appear on regulations.gov, and you can see my name, Kevin Dixie. I know it's kind of blurry, But that says Kevin Dixie right there. But besides that, in the comment box, you can see I said signed Kevin, middle initial, Dixie. So I not only did I go anonymous, did not go anonymous, I signed in the comment. So you have to read my name as part of the comment, and then I left my name in the fields. So I'm not shy about saying how I feel. So that's why I typed them the thingy and then signed my damn name and then left my name in the box. But you don't have to do it. Now, you also can put your name and omit your address. That's also very important. Now, let's be honest, it's the government. If they want to know who the hell you are and want your address, they're going to get it, right? But you don't have to voluntarily. That's why I'm not worried
about putting my name.
Right.
That's why I'm not worried about it. If they want you bad enough, they're going to find you, and that's when that 2A shit rolls in.
That's what I'm trying to tell folks. Like, I'm gonna share my opinion with you. And look, at a certain point, anyway, not only is what Jerah just said true. You know, one thing that people don't give, what they call, I'm not even saying it, what people call Second Amendment advocates, is the moment that you don't use a mean character as your avatar and you use your real name. Just say it one time. Ain't no hiding. That's it.
I'm
you
out
could
there.
have did that shit 7 years ago. It's out there now. Ain't no hiding. It lives on the internet forever. There is no hiding from it.
We're the first ones they're going to come for.
Yeah, all right. So it cracks me up, Jerah. I got to tell you, man. I had this fool over on my other page, right? He comes on there because I put up the post, I reposted the post about me taking the proceeds from the braces and giving them over to the FPC, right? So this dude from Germany, I believe, comes on there. He's like, "Oh, you suck. What are you really putting on the line?" Because my philosophy was, if they want to take something, let's sell more of them. Period. Let's get more of them out there. If they want to impact them, right? Why not? So, but he's like, "Well, you so-called advocates are willing to bend to the will of the ATF and federal agents, and oh my God, you guys are what's leading Americans down the hole." I say, look, let me tell y'all something. See, we're gonna have real talk tonight. Y'all ready? Let me tell you something. Keep that bitch made shit to yourself. Here's why I say that. You trying to hype somebody up in the hood, we call that gassing you up. Somebody tries to gas you up because they have inadequacies and insecurities in committing the action that they want to see committed. So what they want to do is use words to gas you up to do the things that they are not strong enough to do. And then when you go do it, they get the privilege of sitting back saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did it." Or, "That's what a real patriot looks like." And then if you ask them to do the same thing, they're either unable or unwilling to do the same thing. So let me make this clear right now. For everybody out there during this fight, you are not an extra tough ass because you put up a lower receiver with a picture of a third hole that you're not supposed to have. All right? Don't be goofy, man. Like, you ain't proving shit. You ain't I'm going to slap off my brace and just put on the stock. Okay, tough ass, do that. And then when you put up your picture on Instagram, make sure you tag ATF in.
100%.
All right. So yeah, let's not start getting this stuff confused. We're gonna do what we do. And look, I tell people all the time, where I come from, what's understood ain't gotta be said. All right. You don't walk outside and tell the cops you got rocks in your pocket. You don't do that. What you are going to do is what you are going to do. If you currently have some class 3 stuff that you ain't supposed to have, what you talking about it for? If they make something illegal, where the hell all the fucking bump stocks at, right? And, am I thinking less of the American? What they said, 400,000 of those things were sold. Am I thinking less of the Americans that decided, I ain't giving you shit?
Sometimes it's got to be chess. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's got to be chess. Sometimes you got to get straight to it. But the real patriots, the real people that are doing the real work, are scorned and hated people until we win. And then everybody all of a sudden wants to be a patriot because they ain't got to go do patriot shit no more. We already fucking won,
Mm-hmm. All that tough guy shit. But let me lead you into the next question because I don't want to get to talking about those little yellow belly bitches too early. Let me lead you into the next question. Next question. Tell people all the time, I be trying to be nice, but every now and then they pull it out. You know what I mean? They pull it out of me every now and then. But, let's go to the next one. All right. So I got a question to ask you. What advice, right, would you give to people? And I'm sorry, let me back up. I'm dealing with the people that are part of the millions who have purchased a firearm, say within the last year and a half, ballparkish, right? Those exorbitant amount, that 5, 6, 7 million, whatever that number is, people are saying. I don't know what the exact number is, just a lot. Okay, and they are many of them. I know myself have sold probably 30 or 40 firearms equipped with a brace, right? And that's just me. And I'm not pretending to have big numbers. There are some people that blow me out the water, right? You might have blown me out the water. You ran a large operation. I don't know, but I know it's a lot of people out there that have these things equipped on their guns. And they're sitting back right now. They're like, well, I just got into this gun thing. I just started believing in my, even if they don't understand the Constitution, they just start believing in their own personal freedom and their own personal right to protect themselves. And maybe they start paying attention to the Constitution and the things that it affords you. And maybe they start believing in their human rights. And now, a year later or less, they're looking at this thing that they have that they looked at protecting their life. And now they're looking at all this different jargon on the internet and on the federal websites that makes it seems like that they're going to be a felon just trying to protect their life. Like, what advice do you give to them?
You need to, you have to look at this 5 moves ahead. That's what chess is, okay? And P.S., if you haven't read that book, you need to, right? Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. It's a great book. But that's what takes away the panic, right? So panic is a useless emotion. It's a useless thing, okay? So when this shit comes down, you got to understand it takes time for them to move on this stuff. It takes time on them to create these processes, these ridiculous processes that they always end up being, right? And I know because I've worked in numerous gun stores. I've opened numerous gun ranges. Like, I'm very familiar with the processes, and they all suck. So panic less, educate more. Okay? Panic less, educate more. You got more time in your day than you think you do. Okay? Play solitaire on your phone less, educate more. Right? Get off Facebook less, educate more. Right? Watch Netflix less, educate more. Your time management is directly correlated to your safety. And your safety is made up of your physical training, your mental training, and how much you know, like your education, like what are you reading, right? So start following these people that know what the hell they're talking about, right? Start following you. Start following me. Start following Rob Pincus. Start following Gun Owners of America. And what are some other ones? I mean, what is it?
You got Firearms Policy Coalition.
Yeah.
You got Noir puts out great stuff. Coley on Noir.
Yeah, and he's
Military
a lawyer.
Arms Channel.
And he's a lawyer.
And he's a lawyer,
so,
right?
Cleon's a lawyer, so he can like break the legalese. Start paying attention. Like, think about what's the shit that I want to know, what's confusing me, and go start following these people and seeing their content, because they're not going to lie to you. They want this to go away, right? So, but don't like, if your dad's brother's cousin's best friend posts some meme on Facebook, you can't take that as reality. You can't take that as gold. You can't take that as fact. And that's the problem that we have right now, is all of this misinformation that's going there. So you need to figure out, who are my credible sources, and I need to be asking them, and if you're messaging them, they're paying attention. And if you're asking questions and they get the same question 10 or 20 times, I promise you there's going to be a video that's going to come out about it. Right? Because they want your question to be answered. Go get a membership with USCCA or Texas Law Shield or US Law Shield. These are attorneys that specialize in criminal and firearms and constitutional law. And when you have a membership that costs you $15 a month, guess what? You get to talk to an attorney for free. So you get to go, what is this process looking like? Like, what do I need to know? What are the ramifications? Can you represent me in court if this goes down, right? So panic less, educate more, and quit talking shit about stuff you don't know about. I don't talk about property taxes because I don't own a house. I don't talk about our educational system because I don't have kids, okay? I talk about guns because that's what I fucking know. And I live it every day. Panic less, educate more.
Okay, no doubt. Now, what I'm going to say is this. Hey, peoples, listen to the woman. All right. What else? The other thing I'm gonna say is this. Let me tell you something. I want everybody, like we just spouted off names. I want everybody in the comments right now. Those credible sources that you know, that you believe in,
Put them in
put
there.
their names down there. Put their Instagram pages down there right now. I should see a flood of names coming down, and make them individual. Don't put them all together. Make them individual. Start tagging everybody that should be a source to go to say relevant with 2A related and freedom related information that gives facts and knows how to convey their message. Please go ahead and do that. Now, and here's what I this is another thing that I was telling people.
Argo
don't
J.
forget.
Argo J. Go follow Argo J.
Nah, fuck
He has
him.
good shit.
Fuck him. Fuck that dude. Nope. Not him. I'm gonna block him. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna block his ass. Argo is going live with Military Arms Channel tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I'm gonna try to watch it. I'll be out setting up for Black Guns Matter that's coming to Atlanta, but I'll try to watch it. But you guys follow Argo because he will have Mac on tomorrow. They're gonna have a lot of conversation about it. So yeah.
And if you're asking who he is, because somebody's asking who he is, he's like, "Who's Argo J?" Follow him and fucking find out. We don't have time to tell you. That's
No,
the
you know what?
That's the problem
no.
is people don't
See-
want to just go and learn for themselves. They want you to just give them the straight answer. Go learn. Follow him and find out.
Yeah. Okay.
VSO Gun Channel is another good one.
Yeah, Curtis is real good. Yeah, Curtis
That
is real
dude,
good.
he's a scientist. Like, he tests weird shit. Like, he's amazing. He was at the training learn with us last year.
Yeah, VSO is good. And yeah, Jerah. So, Jerah, let me introduce you to Mr. Greg, okay? Mr. Greg is a regular here, and Mr. Greg was just joking. I mean, your point is valid,
Okay.
but
Okay.
he was just joking. Mr. Greg is a patriot, true and true. He comes through, supports a lot, and I'm pretty sure he's going to start following you after this. Mr. Greg also
I'm
understands.
sorry.
No, he understands that you're fiery. I can see that's why he meant by just kidding, but no. But your point still did resonate with somebody. Somebody else out there was seriously thinking, yo, who are these people? And that's the thing. She's absolutely right. You probably should go figure out who those people are if that was a valid question you asked yourself. So I'm going to, and thank you, I see the real NLC down. And here's something else I want to say about the advocates while we're at it. Hey, y'all, let me tell you something. Let me make this very, very clear to you. And everybody out there, and if one of these advocates sees this later, I think anybody that knows me knows, whether they like me or not, I am the same when you see me that I am on the gram. I am the same dude through and through. And one thing that I care about is the freedom of this country. I really don't give a damn about your individual opinions. I care about the freedom of this country, right? And your opinions represent freedom. So thus, I guess I do care. Here's the thing. I don't give a damn about the fact that you don't like what cologne they wear. I don't give a damn you don't like what kind of car they drive. I don't give a damn you don't like their one opinion about this or that. Do they believe in your freedom? If they believe in your freedom at the end of the day, you need to stop being such a pussy and you need to go ahead and give them that follow and you need to get that information. All this bullshit like, oh, I got to go over there, but I got to like everything about you. I got to make sure you fit into this nice, neat box.
Nope.
In order for me to receive this information that I need to make sure my country remains free, I got to make sure that you look like you would give me warm hugs on a Sunday morning and sip lattes with me. Fuck that. All right.
I'll give you a perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I flew to Reno, Nevada and took Rob Pincus's intuitive defensive shooting instructor course. It was a week long and it was fucking intense. And I didn't like Rob every day that I took that class. But the point is that the information was solid. I was challenged beyond the parameters of which I knew. Mm-hmm. And that's important. And the information was good. There's a really great book that I recommend, especially to all my female students, called The Gift of Fear. And it's written by Gavin DeBecker. And Gavin DeBecker is anti-gun. Okay. But the psychology in the book, it's not a gun book. It's a intuition psychology book for your safety. The information is solid. I don't have to agree with Gavin's stance on guns. I don't care about that. I care about that what the knowledge that he has is imperative to my safety. I want to know it, and then I'm going to couple it with something I believe in, which is the gun, and then that's going to make me dangerous, and that's going to make me safe, and that's what I want. So you can't, if you're following people who claim that they're pro 2A, but all they do is talk shit about other pro 2A people, or all they do is post stupid ass memes, and they're not putting out content that breaks down law, that breaks down processes, stupid processes, and that puts out things that are relevant and current, that's not who you need to be following. That's not who you need to be getting your information from. How about that? Okay. You need to be getting information from people who are studying this, who are breaking it down, who are putting it in the layman term for the general public to understand, and who are encouraging you to be present and show up.
Hey, that's 100%.
And who show up? You know who is in Georgia walking around knocking on doors? Kevin Dixie and Rob Pincus. Rob doesn't even live in Georgia.
Now,
I think it speaks for itself.
I think that a lot of people need to realize is, oh, look, some of your intentions are often great, often good, right? But when it comes to actually doing this, see, that's the beauty that a lot of us see, and a lot of you see. When I have a conversation with Jerah, I like Jerah. Jerah's my homie. You know what I'm saying? I'll split your melon for Jerah. All right? At the same time, when people see me and Jerah talking, this represents the portion of America people don't want to think exists, right?
100%.
When they see, hell, a Jerah, it's a young white female talking to a old ass dude like Rob Pincus, right? That's a part of America they need to see that exists. When you see, you know, he is old as shit. When you see different individuals from different backgrounds with different experiences and different beliefs sitting down having a conversation, that's the America they fear. And what happens is we start getting wrapped up in those people's personal experiences. I've never been a white female in America. Never. Okay? Jerah's going to have some perspective about not only being a white female, but being a white female from Texas, and then her own individual experiences, her own individual lifestyle, her own family. She's going to bring a different world of experiences to the table. Thus do I. That's why I tell people all the time, you getting wrapped up in the nuances of somebody's life. You know, it's like I've had a couple of people like, oh, you're not a patriot because you speak up for them blacks. Hey, man, let me tell y'all something. If you come to my page and you expect for me not to talk about the plight of Black America, where I'm trying to heal Black America and get them off their asses and make sure that they understand economics, make sure they understand mental health and how that system that's been built and deprived has affected us. If you think that I'm not going to take my time and my money and give back to children and put dads back into their households so we can snap generational curses, so we can build up great communities, thus building up great states, thus building up a stronger America. If you think that I'm not going to do that, you are sadly out of your fucking mind. If you want to go follow somebody that only talks bad about Black people and they make you feel better because they're Black, I got some names for you. Brandon Tatum to start with. Go follow pages like that. That ain't the shit I'm on. The difference is over here, we talk about uplifting people and freedom. Okay? I'm not riding some motherfucker's coattails. I'm not going to say something that just makes you happy. I'm not going to say something to get you to buy a t-shirt, even though you should go buy Violence is a Problem at this solution over on overthechoice.com right now. Yeah. Right? There are plenty of pages you can go follow. And if that's the content you like to absorb, hey, man, salute to you. But I've seen a lot of people talking that, oh, you're not a patriot shit because my every other word out of my mouth and every other post ain't isn't it demeaning to Black people, isn't tearing Black people down. Let me tell you, motherfuckers, something. For people that believe that shit, do you really think that all 7-8 million of these motherfuckers that just bought firearms are all white?
No, actually, most of them are people who, I mean, maybe they're white, but, you know, maybe they're Black, maybe they're of other ethnicities, but, you know, most of them are people who never thought about this before. And I think that we're going to see a wave. But another thing, too, that I think is, you know, you're not going to get a perspective if you just keep hanging out with the people that you hang out with all the time, you know. And I said this to Maj when he came to Dallas and did Black Guns Matter, you know, and I helped teach that class with him. And that was one of the first times in my life when I went to dinner and I was the minority. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you're not sitting at a table every now and then where you're the minority, you're not going to have a really good perspective. And I want to address a comment that just came in from a guy named Brandon. And he said, if you think voting leads to freedom, you have no idea what freedom is. I'm not trying to be insulting, except I don't really care about whether you're insulting or not. I care about the fact that you're wrong. Voting is one of the largest things that does lead to freedom. And if you aren't paying attention to history, you don't know about the women's suffrage movement. You don't know how important it was for African Americans to get the right to vote. We didn't have it. There was a time when we didn't have it, when we didn't get a say, a non-violent say. And that is huge. And that is where we start. Okay. So we start with the vote and we end with the violence if it comes to that. But we don't want it to come to that. We want voting to be the vehicle that leads to freedom. And so unfortunately, you're not correct.
Oh, see, I like dealing with the facts. And here's my thing about voting, people. Here's the simple now. Is there some bullshit in the voting system like cheating? Absolutely. Okay. It is what it is. It's ran by man. It's flawed by man. It is what it is. However, the simple thing about voting is this. Two things. One, yes, I am a dude that believes that the people, all people, for instance, women have died for you to have the right to vote. They have.
Yeah.
They have. That's a fucking fact, right? People have died, literally. White men, black men, white women, black women, Hispanic women, Hispanic men, Native Americans, so forth and so on, have died and suffered for you to have the right to vote. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't understand how important it was, right?
Women dressed up as men to go fight in the war. If you think that wasn't a thing, it was a thing. Okay, you may not know about it. It may not be in a bunch of history books, but it's there. Okay, it happened. So I got a big problem with people who think that, like that voting is sucks. Now, what we need to do is we need to, get back the authenticity of the vote, right? We need to get back the respect of the vote, but it is still important. It is something that we need to fight for.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that, another thing too, to show that voting is important, look how much money they spend on campaigns, right? They spending that money to get what? A vote, right? There's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to get a vote because they understand that they need the numbers at the end of the day. But go get your stick, Scott. What you waiting on, baby? Go get it and line it up. All right, now let's move on. Let's move on to something else. Cause see, like I said, I got one of my favorite guests on tonight. We're gonna move on to some real shit. I'm gonna ask you this, and I want to preface this. All right, it's not because I think that there is a difference. I just think we need to highlight something real quick because I think there are women out there that need to hear it. Right, so I personally think it's all equal. But what I'm going to do is plug a section of America out, bring them over here, and have you address them. Someone said to me, and it was a woman, said to me, okay, she felt comfortable enough to say this to me. She said, hey, I want to be honest with you. I don't believe that women have the same importance when it comes to being role models, her words, in the 2A. And I was like, why do you feel that way? Right? Because I just want to know why you feel that way. And she ultimately said, because it's a male-dominated industry. It's something that they still look at the male to represent and speak for. And I just feel like, yeah, I could speak, but I think my voice will be lost in the wind because of all the men and the fact that people expect men to speak up for the Second Amendment. And so we had a nice little exchange, and I ended it with saying, well, I think that a lot of those men are getting a ton of their information from women. I think that women are just to be as respected and blah, 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 all the things that I truly believe in my heart. But I want you to address that comment and address that segment of Americans, those ladies of all shapes, sizes, and colors, just those ladies who believe that, yo, nobody wants to hear me speak about freedom. No, this is something that the dudes are supposed to take care of, but my voice is going to be lost in the wind. Go.
That could be one of the most detrimental statements that you could make about freedom. History is full of women who were willing to put their lives on the line for liberty in a myriad of ways, from people from the women who sewed the first American flag to women who were willing to get arrested and beat in the streets for going to vote when it was illegal. And if you look at current events, there has never been more women in our legislature and elected as mayors and senators and congressmen. And hell, we've even got one that, could potentially be a VP, like her or not. So the place for women to speak about liberty and freedom has never been more prevalent. People have never been more willing to listen to us than right now. And if you think that we don't make an impact, I mean, God, look at Diane with the DC Project and her viral video about how she will not comply. And she was a former police officer. Look at me. You know, I don't have 1 million followers, but I'm going and speaking at I'm going to gun rights hearings, and I'm speaking to our legislature, and I'm making an impact, even if it's just in my own community. And if you think that when you speak, it has to be heard by all of America to make a difference, you're absolutely mistaken. I am going out and I have honed in on a group of people who need to start pulling their weight, frankly, in regard to freedom. And that is women and mothers. Women and mothers need to start speaking up about this, probably more than most of America, because you have an obligation. And I'm going to say something that's very controversial right now. If you're a mom and you're not getting self-defense trained, you are lazy. I'll say it. You're lazy. Now, what you do for you is up to you. Your defense is your decision. But when you choose to bring a life into this world that you're duty bound to protect, and you don't get some sort of education, it doesn't have to be the gun. The gun is a choice, okay? But getting some sort of self-defense education, whether it's getting honed in on that situational awareness or doing that hands-on self-defense or getting that firearms education, I feel like you are duty bound to do it. And if you're not, just say it. You're lazy, because you're responsible for another human life, and you're lazy and selfish if you're putting that all on your husband or your baby's daddy. There's never been a better time to get into it than now.
Okay. And you know what? Something else that I said to that young lady, I said, hey, when people want to take away your rights, who do they use? Women.
They use you. They use women. Oh, feel sorry for the mom who's afraid. Feel sorry, don't be afraid. Stop being afraid. Rise up and take it. Okay. We've been talking about this. This has been a century-long joke, right? About don't mess with the mama bear. Live up to it. If that's what you want to be known for, if you're like, don't mess with my kids, live up to it and be able to back it up, and stop having that thug life mouth with them 911 fingers.
That's my shit. I'm putting that on the shirt. I promise you. I'm stealing that shit. I think it's very, very important for people to understand. And look, okay, so here's a glimpse into the world of Kevin. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm going to have a confession. Since I was old enough to have memory, okay, Jerah, old enough to have memory, I've liked women. Yes, everything about them. All right, the little beads in their hair when we ran through the elementary hallways. I didn't like the college bros though. I ain't gonna lie about that shit. I ain't like them. I ain't like the college bros. I'm the nutcrackers. I ain't like them at all. But everything about women, and I think that what people like men like me, right? I think men like me that are alpha, that are protectors, that are cultivators, which is a very important word. Cultivate minds, bodies, spirits, right? Cultivators. People that assist, aid, and push. We want to see women beside us. Hell, some of them marching and taking the lead in a lot of different ways, right? Because sometimes, hell, you got to put the right person in the right position. It is what it is, right? If they're smarter, they know more. If we just need that appearance, whatever, fuck it, we trying to win something. And I think that women, fact, outnumber us anyway, right? So why wouldn't we want you in a fight? This is not I don't believe this is a world dominated by men. I believe that the world once upon a time did think that way, right? Okay. And I think now that social media, as bad as it is, has also given us this. It's exposed us to a lot of brilliant minds, many of them women, right? So own that shit, right? And damn it, if somebody's in your way, Knock them over.
I mean, do you want
Period.
2 or do you want 1? Do you want 2 or do you want 1? Is 2 more than 1? It's a fact. Okay? It's undisputable. 2 is better than 1 when it comes to a fight. Yes or no? The answer is yes. And I'll tell you something else. And I don't know that if a lot of people think about this, but I think that having a good self-defense education, I think being able to handle your shit makes you, gives you the ability to be kinder, more charitable, and less racist. If you have the ability to, if you can encounter almost anyone and know that you have a decent shot at whooping their ass, wouldn't it make you a little more susceptible to just hear them out and go, I have the ability to potentially handle this. It doesn't mean you're going to win 100% of the time, but it makes me less fearful for encountering the homeless person on the street. I'm more willing to hear them, help them, right? Lend a hand than I am just to walk away and be fearful, right? I'm more willing to go and encounter police officers, ATF agents, legislators, because I have the ability to defend myself and make sure that I stay safe away from that kind of tyranny, right? Because I have the confidence and I give it the respect that it deserves. I give the gun the respect and the time that it deserves. I give my self-defense the respect and the time that it deserves. It makes me more willing to sit in a room full of Black people at Black Guns Matter and hear their experiences and go, I don't know anything about that, but I hear where you're coming from and I can understand it. Like I can put myself in your shoes and go, that would suck. Maybe let's be more unified, right? I can put myself in the position of the pew pew Jew, right? Who deals with a lot of shit, okay? In the Jewish culture about being a gun person in the Jewish culture. My God, could you imagine? You know what I mean? And so I think that when you have the ability to handle your business, it makes you open to a myriad of things. And I think that when you don't, it makes you more fearful, and fear makes you ignorant. Fear makes you not want to learn. And that is what's dangerous.
Love it. Love it. Love it. See, this is why I wanted you to talk. All right. And let me explain some out there to people right now. Sometimes we have to, in the freedom community in particular, right? Or somebody that relates to freedom and wants people to be free. It's not even about guns. It's about freedom. When we get sidetracked into looking at the number of followers somebody has to validate their message, we get lost. One that I've always found crazy about that, because you heard what she just said, great information and great insight. One is, how do we all bitch and complain about Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, so forth and so on, throttling the voices of freedom, and then we validate somebody's voice by the amount of followers they have when we admit that the platforms they're on is throttling their voice, right?
Alyssa Milano has hundreds of thousands of followers. She's an idiot.
How many does AOC have?
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these are all things that are factual. So, you know, you got to seek out those voices. That's why I wanted you guys, and if you haven't yet, please tag somebody in these comments that you want people to go follow to get real insightful information. Way off topic, I just happened to see this one. Are the hoodies true to size? I need $25 more on this order. I would say with all hoodies, man, order one size larger. Because when you go to clean them, wash them, depending on if you mess up, put it on high heat, one size larger would be my
And you're probably gonna wear a shirt underneath them too. Yeah,
and you're gonna wear a shirt underneath them. So one size larger. If you got broad shoulders, maybe two, but definitely at least one. All right, Jerah, let's get into this next topic, this next subject. This COVID-19 crap. Let's talk about it. Okay. So recently today, the latest thing with COVID-19 is the vaccine, right? That's all the break. So I don't know if you've had the pleasure of seeing a couple of videos that are floating around today where people get injections and the needles don't move. Okay. So I had to watch those things, like I'm zooming in on a video. I threw a couple of them in some editing software to bring them up real big. And I'm like, I'm no nurse. Bless you.
Thank you.
And I'm no doctor. But I don't see the things in the thing, because I've had plenty of shots and surgeries and all kind of jazz. And I don't see the things in the thing. So Bless you again. You got,
Yeah.
hey, you got that shit?
No, I sucked that cigar smoke in my nose.
Oh, okay. Hey, man, got that. I don't even got that shit now. All right, so what the fuck is going on with COVID, Jerah? What is it? What is this shit, and what are they using it for?
Man, I'm wondering. I wonder if this was, an accident that happened that now, the powers that be are taking advantage of. I think that it's real. Obviously, I think people are dying. I don't know that they're dying from it or just the complications of it. But I think that that's irrelevant. I think that the thing is, it has it has given an opportunity for our government to socially condition us. And that is something that they could not be happier about. And I think absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I don't believe that it's, the numbers show that it's not that fatal, but you have to understand something. And this is the breakdown. It's not that it's not real. It's not that we shouldn't be courteous. It's not that we shouldn't necessarily be distancing a little bit, right? Because it's obviously not something that you want to get. I think there is a treatment out there that we've seen work, that has been proven, that for some reason the powers that be don't want to work. And that's concerning. I think that we have a situation where, just like anything else, when we're trying to preserve liberty, and you have to understand, if you look all throughout history, liberty is number one. Freedom is number one. It is more important than life because people have been willing to die for it. Quality of life is so important, okay? And any time that we try to defend liberty, we are often doing it in the aftermath of someone else's most horrible pain. Understand that. Empathize with it, okay? Because when we say we don't want to wear masks, or we want all the restaurants and the bars and the movie theaters and stuff to reopen, we're doing that because we want liberty and freedom and quality of life. Because we did the shutdown for the 3 weeks or a month, and we figured out that this fatality rate really isn't anything that we should tumble an economy over. But yes, we probably need to take some precautions, like, keeping a little bit of a distance between people and being courteous about that, okay? Because people are high risk for this, okay? There are people out there that are high risk for it. We've had a large number of deaths, but not so much so. I mean, we didn't even do this shit for AIDS. You had a 33% chance of dying from AIDS if you contracted it, okay? And there weren't even really any symptoms. Like, you couldn't just look at somebody and go, they've got AIDS, okay? Like, you can't, okay? We didn't even do this for AIDS. We didn't really even do this for smallpox. And so, but that's the one thing that we have to remember is when we're defending freedom, we're often doing it in the midst of someone else's greatest pain. Someone's son was a victim of a shooting, right? Someone's dad died of COVID, right? So we have to remember that somebody has suffered because of this, right? And that's the fine line that we're walking. So do I think that COVID is, for the most part, bullshit? Absolutely. Am I still living a free American life? Bet your ass, okay? But I had a client that is a leukemia patient, but said, I still really need to learn this gun thing. I need to take this self-defense thing seriously. So she asked me to wear a mask for our lesson, which I happily obliged. That's not hard, okay? But what I'm saying is, in my usual general everyday existence, I'm not going to walk around with a face diaper on because I don't need it. I'm a healthy American who takes care of myself. I eat right and I exercise, okay? So if you're a fat ass who doesn't take care of themselves, I'm sorry, I know that's harsh, okay? But if you're fat by your own doing because you eat like shit and you drink sodas all day and you smoke like a freight train, that's not my fucking problem. Okay, will I stay away from you if you ask me to? Absolutely. But I'm not going to be obligated to wear a face mask outside in my neighborhood when I go to the park because you're fearful because you didn't do the shit that you needed to do to keep yourself in line. I'm not going to do it. Okay. And you can't ask me to, and I'm not obligated to because I'm a free American. But if my leukemia patient, because she wants to take her self-defense more seriously, asks me to wear a mask because I'm going to be in close quarters with her, absolutely, I'm going to oblige that.
And that's respectful. I think that's the balance it comes to, right? Like, the same way I treat private businesses. Me, the way that I view it is this. Is COVID real? Yes. Now, let me tell people, I have by the symptom list. Like, if you take the symptom list from the CDC and you had to put a check mark in each list, I've at least had COVID once. All right? It was pretty damn bad. It was right after I moved to Georgia, and I'm talking about, I didn't have, the only thing I didn't have was the breathing problem. I really didn't have that. But the fever, the little sniffles, cold symptoms, the no taste, the no smell, the no energy, for 12 days, it was bad, right? I know I slept like 4 or 5 days in a row. I could get up long enough to drink a glass of water, pop some vitamins because I couldn't eat, and right back to sleep. Like, I'm talking about up for 15, 20 minutes and right back to sleep for 6, 7 hours, right? As my body was fighting it off, right? So, cool. I got over it, right? Because once again, if you're fortunate enough to be healthy enough, your body will fight it off and you get over it. And so I was like, okay, if nothing else, by the symptom list, this thing is real. And I respect people that want to be safe from it, like private businesses. If a private business says, hey, in order to come here and do business, I want you to have on a mask. Now, here's the thing about freedom. They own that place. They're free enough. They're free to say that.
Yeah.
I want you to have on a mask.
Yep.
And you're free enough to say, I'm not going to do business there.
Yeah.
Right? You can walk away and go somewhere else. So, okay, there's a mutual balance there, respect there to say, all right, cool. That's the way you look. Prime example would be T-Mobile. I went into T-Mobile to try to do something and buy a new phone. And this was before it really got bad. And T-Mobile was like, yo, you got to have on a mask to come in here. And this is before masks were like really mandated and stuff like that. I'm like, a mask to come in here? And I'm standing at the door. Like, as soon as I opened the door, he said it. I said, okay. And I let the door close and I walked away. And guess where I haven't been? Into T-Mobile. It's because it's not okay, right? I'm not mad at you. I'm not saying people should boycott them. I'm just saying, okay. At that point, it wasn't that important for me to do. Now, my car just broke down and it's back at the freaking shop, right? So it's at the dealership. The dealership, when you come into the bay and you're within 6 feet of an employee to discuss anything, they ask for you to have on a mask. Okay. I need my damn car fixed. Okay. And only you can do it. So I'm going to put on this mask, have this conversation with you, step away from you, take it off, put it back in my pocket, and leave. They didn't infringe upon me. They're just saying, hey, this is where we feel comfortable doing business. And guess what? If I'm not in there, because, most of those dealership car bays are pretty big, right? Like the service bay where you drive in and get a service, pretty big. Until I pull in, if there is no customers in there, they don't even have on the damn things, right? Yeah. It's just when they start getting close to people, they put them on. Okay. But where I have a problem is with the proposals of Joe Biden, where they're saying we want to require a 100-day mandate where you have to wear a mask in order to leave your home.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, we got a problem.
And I can tell you where I live, the town where I live, they ain't going to enforce that. That's not going to happen, and, I do a lot of law enforcement type work. I'm not a cop, but I do a lot of law enforcement type work. I do investigations, all that kind of stuff. I patrol with PD for my security company. We actually created our own police department. So we have police officers that ride with my level 3 and 4 security people. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that I think we agree on when we ride out is, the law enforcement that rides out with us are very logical. And they're like, if it's something trivial and we don't have to deal with it, why would we, we want people to be free Americans, right? So, like these apartment complex contracts that I have, the apartment complex says you can't work on your vehicle in the parking lot. So you can't fix your car, you can't work on your muffler, you can't do that stuff in the parking lot. And for whatever reason, that's what they have. Guess who doesn't enforce that? Us. because that's silly. And I'm not trying to get into an argument or a potential shooting or a fight with somebody over something that stupid. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
we have to, so I just don't enforce it. I mean, there's some really stupid laws on the book that just shouldn't be enforced. So I think that that's one thing that we need to do as free Americans is have good relationships with our law enforcement and help influence them and have good, real conversations with your neighborhood police officers. We have great MPOs over here where I live. And, I talk to them all the time. I mean, they stop by the house, they chat with me in the yard, and, and they're logical human beings. And that's just something that's not going to be enforced where I live. And I have a great faith in that.
Good. That's good. It's always good to hear those kind of stories and get those kind of facts. I think for me, so I'm not at home anymore, right? I'm out of my comfort zone. Right? At home, obviously I'm known. I know what areas do what. I was there for 40 years, all my life, right? So I know things pretty well. Down here, I'm not so sure. One thing I can say about the state of Georgia is everything's open. And I can say that. Like, everything's open. You might need to make a reservation because they have less tables in the restaurant.
Right.
But it's open, right? So I'm not thinking that that's going to fly down here either. Plus, riddle me this, Batman. What are you going to do? You're going to stop? I don't know. How many people can be walking around any average size community at one time?
Yeah.
I don't know, 7,000? You're going to stop 7,000 people? How are you going to enforce or pay attention to real crime? You're going to stop the mom pushing a stroller? You're going to stop the guy walking his dog? And you're going to...
And even then, I'm willing to take one for the team if it comes down to that, because I have a big enough voice. I have enough people that would back me. The message would get out. I mean, take Shelley Luther, for example, here in Texas. She's the salon owner that opened her business ahead of the mandated date in April because she wanted her employees to be able to make money and feed their families. But she did everything by the book other than that, right? So she implemented these protocols, the masks, the, extra cleaning, the extra sanitizing and all that, even more over than what salons have to have. And she took one for the team, right? And now she was like, fuck this shit. I'm running for Senate. This is bullshit.
Oh, she's running for Senate now.
Yeah, she's in a runoff right now.
Ooh,
so
good.
she could end up being a state senator for Texas. And she took it to the next level because she's like, I know what it's like for my freedom to be stepped on and my freedom to make money, my livelihood, my ability to feed my family, and my ability to pay my mortgage. I mean, have we not seen an increase in suicides and mental health issues, over this? And that's something that we have to remember is that, a lot of our elected officials are so out of touch. They're so out of touch. Right. And that's why we need term limits. We need regular Americans who have middle-class jobs and middle-class lives to be able to hold these positions for an amount of time because they're in touch. Right. Mm-hmm. But the longer that you're in and the more corrupted that you get, the more out of touch that you are. I don't think I would ever, people keep telling me, run for office, Jerah, run for city council, run for state Senate, run for Congress, whatever, and I'm like, I would do it. But I'm only going to be in there for a minute, y'all. And and believe me, I'm going in hard. I'm going hard in the paint if it comes to that, because I'm only going to be in there for a finite amount of time because A, I want to get back to my life. And B, they going to know who the fuck I am when I roll in. Okay. I got no issues with telling anybody that's been sitting in a seat for 40 years exactly where they can stick it. Because if you have been there for that long and you ain't fixing shit, something's wrong. And I'm going to tell you what it is, because I'm living out here while you're legislating in here. And I said that when I testified at the gun rights hearings last October. I was like, there's 16 of you sitting up here, and I've been here for 8 hours, and not a damn one of you have shown me any kind of gun knowledge. What are you doing with your time? Because if you're sitting on 12 committees, you're not making an impact because you don't have the time or expertise to make good decisions on 12 committees. You don't. You need to be on 2 committees, okay? And things that you know about, okay? Or things that you can educate yourself on. Because if you're depending on the NRA to give you your gun knowledge, you're stupid. Okay?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. The NRA has taken a downturn. It's not that it can't be saved, but if you're sitting there on a legislative panel and you ran on a 2A platform and you can't tell me what a selector switch is, we got a problem. We got a problem.
Okay. You know what I think is, it even adds to that, like, you know, and I've heard it too. I know obviously you've heard it because you said it, and I know other people have heard it, and I believe, well, I know for a fact, Maj was one of the most recent people to actually do it. Was run for a city council seat in the city of Philadelphia. Here's my thing. Even if gonna take the plunge, right? You, me, name a, for lack of better terms, advocate, okay, was going to run for a seat in their state or their town or whatever. What confidence do I have that people are going to back me when I can only get 14 people to show up for the Senate runoff in the state of Georgia in 2 different cities?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like, this is historical. This is next level stuff. And if my running campaign is not, you know, national news, then how do I know you're actually going to? So I stop my life. I do everything I'm doing to get in there to represent freedom, to represent the fight, and 4 people show up in support of me. I'm going to lose. There's no way I'm going to win. Right?
And one of them didn't even live in your state.
Technically, 2 of them in Savannah, 2 people that showed up didn't live in the state, had no voting power in the state. Right? But it's like, hey guys, sure. When people often ask me, run for a seat, I'm like, well, first of all, I'm gonna need a lot of support because I say a lot of things. Like, for example, one thing I know that they would immediately bring up is when somebody asked me a question and I took the question as they were trying to be victim and they wanted, you know, somebody to feel sorry for them. I said, hey, somebody assaults you, somebody's trying to hurt you to where you got to hire bodyguards to feel protected, shoot them in the fucking face.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was like, you know, and I know what she was asking. I know what she was getting at. She's like, how do we convince people, or how do we, you know, show people? Like, you already know. Like, you already know how to do it. And the answer is you got to keep on keeping on, and you got to keep on spending time with new people, and you got to keep influencing new people. But while you're doing that, if someone thinks that they have the right or the ability to take your life or threaten your life, you've already got an answer. The answer is your 2A right. The answer is the gun, and you know how to use it. I know who you're talking about. She knows how to use a gun, and that's the answer. That's the answer.
Yeah.
So sometimes there is no way around it, and that's what we train for. So stop asking stupid ass questions that you already know the answer to, just because you want to stand up and have a 10 seconds of fame in a room of 2A social media influencers.
And I think that's the thing that people get. Now, hey guys, pause break. I'm going to tell you right now before we let's see, Jerah, how much time do you got? You've been on for an hour and 20 minutes.
I'm good for a while.
Okay. So let's take a pause break real quick. I'm going to remind you guys, head over to knowthechoice.com. You can see pinned in the comments there, Amendment 2 magazines, 30-round magazines for $9.99. Okay. On top of that, if you buy SBA A3 or SBA 3 a pistol brace, which, yeah, you should still buy a pistol brace. It's still a thing, and you should still own them. You can buy the brace from us. Spend over that $100 mark on anything, but if you buy a pistol brace, you get to take 100% of your proceeds. They go over to FPC, and then we're going to give you a 30-round magazine. So spend over $100, get a 30-round magazine. Magazines are only $9.99. Guess what? You spend over $100 on a max. Oh, look at you, girl. Get it in. You spend over $100 on magazines, you get a free magazine. You get a Surefire X300 Lite, you get a free magazine. You buy a pistol brace, the proceeds go back to Firearms Policy Coalition, and you get a free magazine. Because see, unlike a lot of people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe you would still sell those. Yeah, I will.
They ain't illegal yet.
and look, guys, here's another thing too. Why do I sell the magazines for so cheap? Let me tell you guys something. Can we be 100% honest with each other? I tell people all the time, Jerah, that every firearms business is not in the business of freedom. Right? No. They're in business. No. But every firearms business is not in the business of freedom. So here you have one of your advocates, one of your voices that is saying, hey, I understand that 30-round magazines, I remember when 30 rounders were going for like damn near $60. I remember that, right? When people were getting them. So I'm telling you right now, secure your freedom. Like $10, man. $10.
Get it.
Imagine how much of a hit I'm taking doing that for you. $10.
You might as well have them.
Get them. $10. $10. And I'm not putting a limit on how many you can order. Whatever you think your freedom is worth, damn it, spend it. And you spend over $100, I'm gonna give you a mag. You spend over $200, I'll give you another one. You know what I mean? So get out there, northernchoice.com. Please sign up for the email list while you're there, because we understand that social media platforms are hindering our voices. That is a way for me to stay in touch with you. So please sign up for the email list. That is also a way for you to get information and deals from our supporters and our sponsors of my platform, where we're going to be sharing the discount codes and things like that with you. So please sign up for the email list. And damn it, look, if you ever looked and said, I can't believe these two-way businesses aren't doing anything for anybody. I am an American that fought his way from the mud, established his own self, started his own business, and now I'm taking the assets of that business and giving them back to the American people for damn near what I paid for them, to make sure that you can still have the tools to be free. How about that shit? And then I'm donating money back to lawyers and shit that can help fight the fight.
You got to put your money where your mouth is.
It shouldn't be too much of a button for me to push for you. All right. Now, that's our little pause break. All right, Jerah. Now, guys, this is a chance. You should own a lot of mags over $10. This is a chance for you to go ahead and drop. If you look at the bottom of your screen, people, there's a little bubble thing with a question mark in it. That is the question box. Please drop your question in the box, and I'm going to make sure that I get your question out to me or Jerah or both of us or whoever you address it to, right? Go ahead and throw your question in that little question thingy at the bottom, and we can keep going. Now, Jerah, let's get into it. Let's get into it, girl, because I know you ain't afraid of it. Let's get into it. Let's get into this shit. Let's get into it. Let's shake it up. Let's shake it up a little bit. All right. How do you help people identify? Let's say I come to you, right? I'm like, hey, Jerah, I do want to support the Second Amendment, and I have $1,000. That's all I got. That's all I got. $1,000 in my name. And I want to invest that into the Second Amendment. And I want to get stuff back from it. Like I want a gun, I want some mags, I want a holster, I want all this stuff. How do I identify? This is going to be a tough question now. How do I, or is there a way, does it even exist? Is there a way for me to identify companies that believe in my freedom, that I know will take the money if needed, that I'm going to give them and fight for my freedom, versus ones that are just going to take my money and get quiet when the shit hits the fan?
I think that one of the things that I've started doing is, if we want to identify an organization, in my opinion, one of the best organizations that's actually going out and doing shit for you is Gun Policy Coalition.
Mm-hmm. Keep talking.
They are incredible. They stay on top of it, and they're using your money for a good purpose. I've redirected my funds from the NRA to gun policy for that very reason. That's probably the number one organization that I can think of right now, one of the larger organizations that is actually doing things for your 2A rights that you should be pouring a little bit of money in. Gun Owners of America, I'm not sure. I know that I know some people with Gun Owners of America are doing good things, but I haven't really educated myself on the organization as a whole, so I can't really speak for or against. But I do know that Rachel Malone. That's who you need to go be following. She is with Gun Owners of America, and Rachel Malone does awesome things. And she is very well versed on the laws. She reads the bills. She does that shit for you. She reads the bills that come down on the House floor, and she kind of tells you, the do's and don'ts of the bill, or why it's good or why it sucks, and all that kind of stuff. So Rachel Malone with Gun Owners of America, I can personally vouch for. And then also, I'll tell you what else I've done is I've started identifying people who actually go and testify at the different hearings that we have in the different states, especially in Texas, because that's where I live. And I've started supporting them financially, personally. So when they go and they have to, so if they live in South Texas and they have to drive up to Austin for a hearing, they're taking time off work, right? They're losing money to do that. And so I pitch in for their travel, pitch in for their food. That's probably one of the best things you can do is if you're someone who maybe isn't as articulate as you'd like to be or doesn't like to speak publicly at these kind of hearings, identify people who are going to represent you well and support their travel needs going down to these hearings and representing your gun rights. That's huge. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't really think about because that can get expensive for an individual to do. But Gun Policy Coalition and finding people in your state that are representing you well. I'm not talking about these extremist yahoos that just want to go down and talk shit. I'm talking about people who can effectively articulate what freedom and liberty is and why we need to keep it and their willingness to fight for it. And that's who you need to support, and Venmo them some cash to pay for their gas and so that they can eat while they're down there because they're losing money fighting for your freedoms while you're sitting at home drinking bourbon.
You know what? Okay, I like that answer. I see that I did get a question. I see we got a couple of questions in the box. Guys, throw your questions in the box, but I did see one come by. Then I'm going to get to the ones in the box. So one that was asked to me, and I'm sorry, your name scrolled by real quick, but I did see the comment. It said, hey, can you tell me, and it was addressed to me, can you tell me how you feel about the braces? So very short, because you might have just came in after we talked about it, no problem. Very short, here's how I feel about them. So on the regulations.gov, which is where you can go type in, and you want to type in ATF-2020-001, okay, that right there is what you want to type in. I'm going to share that link later. This is me and what I wrote to them. Okay. I don't like what the ATF is doing, and I signed it right there in the comment section with my name. All right. This is who the hell I am, and this is how I feel about that. And on top of that, at nootherchoice.com, which is pinned down below, we have these guys. So I'm actually selling Americans braces, and then I'm going to take 100% of the proceeds with the ones we have left in stock, and I'm going to send those proceeds over to the Firearms Policy Coalition to help sue the government.
And it's so funny because, like, what does that do to actually make the gun more dangerous?
Nothing. Stupid.
That's what I think is so funny.
And I told them that too. I said, in my comment, I'm like, what is that? I said, this is a personal attack against Americans because of somebody's personal opinion is what this is. An opinion is not law. And I didn't get into all the specs because they know the specs. I just told them, I said, you know what you're doing. And it's silly, and it's off the opinion of one person, and they know who the hell I'm talking about. Now, that's how I feel about the braces. So I'm asking you to go over to nootherchoice.com, buy a brace. It makes a great stocking stuffer, if nothing else. Once someone tries to infringe upon our freedoms, I'm going to put more freedom out there. That way they have a harder time doing their infringement bullshit. On top of that, I know a lot of people were like, hey, I've never even heard of these Amend 2 mags. I wouldn't recommend something that doesn't work. Okay, I wouldn't do you guys like that. So this is an Amend 2 mag. This is what you're going to get if you buy a brace, all right, because you spent over $100. We're going to make sure you get one of these guys, okay? If you spend over $100, I'm going to give you one any damn way. But if you buy a brace, you get one of these and your proceeds go over to FPC. And once again, when people are asking, I'm going to get to these questions. Why the big push for mags? Because I know what mags did before. So I'm trying to tell people before, because we're paying attention to the ATF right now. Don't forget that one of the things Joe Biden doesn't like is 30-round magazines, right? Mm-hmm. So he's going to go after those. He's going to put pressure on them to go after those, not necessarily ATF, but different state representatives. He's going to put political pressure on them to help get those things banned. So I've seen them go upwards of $60 before. We have seen this in recent history. $25 if you're lucky on a day. I'm trying to get them in your pockets for $10. All right. And yeah, I got some mag pools on the website. We got M2s. We got M3s with windows and all that. Cool. Those might be on sale for Christmas. But I'm telling you right now, for $10, $9.99, get you some damn magazines, man. Just And you know what? If
I,
nothing else, they make great freedom presents for other people.
mm-hmm.
They do. They make great freedom presents for other people. Okay, so let's get to some of these questions here.
When I bought my AR, actually it was this year when I bought my AR, I bought like 10 mags because they were cheap, available. Why wouldn't you want them? You know, because you just never know.
Yep, you never know. Just get them. Captain Reed asks, are they back? Or are they in stock now or on back order? Captain Reed, the Amendment 2 mags are in stock. We just received a fresh shipment. They are in stock, sir. Order to your heart is content. Let's see. The fat guy with a gun says, what can we do more? What more can we do locally? Let's see here. I think, Jerry, you kind of commented on that with saying, you know, support the people that are going up to speak for you on your local level. Donate to them. Get involved with them. Swamp Fox asks, how does the commenting process work to fight the pistol brace ban? So, commenting on the Federal Register, it's basically their way of viewing what Americans feel. So you get to get your feelings out there. Are they going to be
easy
affected?
and it's free.
And
it's free. You know.
So,
but also I want to address the other thing, like what can we do on a local level?
mm-hmm.
Even though local municipalities can't really make gun law, they do talk about it at your city council meetings sometimes. Moreover, I'll give you an example. There was a city councilwoman in Allen that wanted to, so even though they can't really say you can't have guns, what they can do is ban them at certain places, right? So there was a city councilwoman that I actually debated on a podcast, and I mopped the floor with her about, she wanted to ban gun shows at a major venue in Allen, Texas. So there's a huge event venue in Allen, Texas, and she wanted to ban gun shows from coming there. That's something that the city council can potentially do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just because your city council can't necessarily make gun law doesn't mean that they can't influence certain things regarding your 2A freedoms within your city. So you need to be paying attention to when the city council meeting agendas come out, when the city council, and a lot of times they do these meetings virtually too. They'll film them, they'll do them live so that you can watch them. But you are always to go to your city council meetings, and you should, because your city council needs to know who the hell you are. And they need to know that what you're about, and they need to know whether, you know, that when you walk into a room, they need to go, Jerah's here. You know, we're gonna hear some shit tonight. You know what I'm saying? So like they need, and they are, you know, they a lot of times they give you time to speak. It's a limited amount of time, obviously, for purposes of the meeting, but you need to involve yourself in your city, and you need to figure out what your city council is about. Because if you think that the powers that be up here aren't trickling down into your local municipalities, you're crazy. We saw that in Fort Worth. Betsy Price, who was like a champion of gun rights and liberty in Fort Worth, Texas, is now a rhino. And she's not standing up for liberty. She's not standing up for individual freedoms. And now Fort Worth's mad at her. So, you know, if you think a mayor doesn't have some power, you're wrong. If you think that people aren't trying to influence her or other mayors or other city council members, you're crazy. So get in on your city council and your local municipalities and understand what they're about. And you need to vote in those elections. So, you know, Brandon over here that keeps saying voting doesn't matter. It matters.
You know what? And here's a good point of that. So Mark Robinson, all right, who I haven't been keeping up with him lately, but he did run on a Pro 2A platform. So we'll see how that's going. In North Carolina, he was the guy that went viral. If you guys remember, he's kind of a heavy-set black guy, bald head. And he went viral for speaking up about his ability to have a gun, and it flew off across the world. I mean, his speech was all over the place, right? Guy's a great speaker. And
now he's running, right?
Well, he's lieutenant governor.
That's right.
Yep, he's a lieutenant governor. He was just a guy that showed up to give his opinion. 2 years later, he's a lieutenant governor of North Carolina. So there's absolutely meanings to go into your local meetings and things and have a voice, even if it is virtual. See, here's the thing. If he would have never went to that local meeting, nobody would ever known him. Nobody would ever known him. So even when you're going into those local meetings and you're giving your opinion, People get to know you. When you're sitting in the crowd, Bill gets to say, hey, man, who are you? Right?
Yep.
They get to know you. And so you could then lead to having a voice. I am a big fan of people being involved on a local level. And here's the thing. A lot of people will try to bully you at a local level because they think they can make your life hard. You just got to have some nuts. That's it.
That's it.
You know, just don't let them do it. Like, you can talk all that crap you want to talk. Recently, so I saw we had a comment about don't be jerks to Moms Demand Action, which is true. Don't be a jerk. I debated Moms Demand Action in the presence of a Missouri state senator because this senator in Missouri did something I really like. You know what he said, Jerah? He said, I don't know enough about guns. I just know that my constituents have concerns and I need to hear both sides where I can make an informed decision.
That's what's up.
I like you. So he invited a local gun shop owner and he invited Moms Demand Action, except he invited the Missouri lead of Moms Demand Action. So he brought the big boss of moms. The gun store owner was like, I don't trust myself to stay cool. He calls me up. He's like, yo, here's the situation. Will you accept my seat? I don't trust myself to remain calm. I said, absolutely. So I straddle in. This woman comes up with a binder this thick. Okay. She's ready for the guy that she thought was her opponent. And then I walk up and I just put like 6 hats on the table. I'm like, hey, hi, how are you? And we get into the debate and I started. Intro. I said, one thing I'm not going to do today is get into a shouting match with anybody in this crowd. They put it in a high school on purpose, obviously, right? School shootings, high school guns. They put it in a high school on purpose. Then obviously, you know, by law, you're not supposed to take a gun in there. So they figured it'd be a safe space to have this conversation. And for almost 3 hours, I debated this woman. And from every stance of the debate, it wasn't even a fair fight. Just wasn't, right? And you know what led after that? And they got to shouting and I didn't lean into it. 2 of the people that were there wearing Moms Demand Action shirts came to me, took firearms training, and said they need to rethink this entire thing.
Yeah. Because basically what they're doing, basically what that organization is, or at least what I know about it, is they're like for common sense, you know, legislation regarding guns. Okay. But that doesn't really exist. And when I testified at the gun rights hearings last October, Moms Demand Action showed up there, and there was a surprising testimony from someone because we were talking about red flag laws. And one of the Moms Demand Action people, when she took the stand or when she took the panel, you know, she's like, I'm for common sense gun laws. She was like, but I went through a terrible mental health crisis where I was freaking crazy for about 2 years. She goes, I didn't need a red flag law to protect me from anybody. My daddy came and took my guns away from me.
Mm-hmm.
My daddy came over to my house and said, you are not good right now. I'm going to hold on to these for you. And then when she got help, she got therapy, and she got back into a good space, she got her guns back. Daddy gave them back to her. So, you know, that's what family is supposed to do. That's what your friends are supposed to do. The government doesn't need to step in and go, we're going to take your shit, right? We need to start paying more attention to the people that we love and make sure that they're in a good headspace and go, hey, if you're not good right now, it's fine. You can get some help. Let me hang on to these for you. And I'm going to give them back when you get better. And that was one of the most logical pieces of testimony I heard that day. And it was from a Moms Demands Action person, you know? So was she a little skewed in, I need common sense gun laws? Maybe, but she was logical enough to go, I don't need a red flag law to come and take what belongs to me. My daddy stepped in and said, you're not good right now.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I see that Body by O has joined us. Salute to the guy, Body by O. What's up with you, family? How are you living out there? I see you doing big things, dude. Proud of you, baby. All right, let's see. What other questions we got in here? Let's see. Your opinion of Arizona and their electoral voting challenge. Are you abreast of that, Jerah?
Actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah. So I only know snippets of it. And here's my thing with the Electoral College. I get that there's going to be challenges all across the board. I'm not familiar enough with Arizona politics to really have an informed opinion about it. But I will, Mr. Greg, I'm going to push you over to Cheryl Todd, and I'm going to go there myself to learn more about that situation because she is in Arizona. She stays up on things like that. Oh, here's a good one. Swamp Fox asks, what are your thoughts on the infighting in the gun world? It's so toxic. Jerah, I'll let you take that one.
So, I will tell you exactly what the problem is.
Okay.
The problem is that there are people within the gun community who have become so obsessed with keeping our 2A rights that they forget that there's a responsibility and a weight that comes with it. And if you can look at the situation that happened in St. Louis with the McCloskeys and the protesters that walked down that private street and tell me that what they did was a good fucking idea, you're crazy. That's the toxic part, okay, is we cannot become, we stand on the 2A platform. It just is. 2A just is, okay? But there are nuances within it and responsibilities that we have to begin to, or that we need to continue and do better about holding our other 2A counterparts accountable when they start defending stupid shit that people do with guns. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do we want mandated training? No, we don't want mandated training. Okay. We need to mandate ourselves to do it. We need to hold ourselves accountable to do it. Okay. And so when people who aren't in this game, who don't really understand what gun rights mean yet, and they're going out and buying guns out of fear, we need to be finding them and loving them and bringing them in and going, hey, you need to understand this. You need to know this. Volunteer your time if that's what it takes. It's not all about the mighty dollar. Okay. It's not about the mighty dollar all the time. Okay. And I think that people get so obsessed with being some sort of social media gun influencer that they can't admit that sometimes they're fucking wrong. Sometimes what you put out there is wrong. And that's another thing that Rob Pincus did in our class. And I know a lot of people like think he's an asshole and like hate him and shit, but he was like, you have to be able to evolve yourself in your training and go, maybe I taught this 10 years ago and maybe it wasn't right. Maybe it wasn't effective. Okay. And I need to evolve that and go, I taught that and it was wrong and I've changed my mind on it. And you need to be able to admit your faults and your flaws. Okay, because that's the only way that people are going to trust you is admit when you're wrong, right? But you can only admit when you're wrong when you have an open enough mind to hear what somebody else has to say. Okay, and that's the division in the 2A community is we can't be all about guns to the point that we just waive our responsibility to them and waive our responsibility to go, that wasn't right. You shouldn't have done that with the gun. You totally missed detect and diffuse, and you had an opportunity to do both and you fucking didn't do it. Okay, it's detect, diffuse, defend. Defense is a last resort and it has to remain that way. It's not a first resort. So once again, quit talking shit about what you're going to do to somebody. Quit talking shit about how many times you're going to shoot somebody. Quit threatening elected officials and saying you're going to kidnap them and torture them and shit. We can't support that shit. Okay, we can't support that until that's our last resort. And it's not our last resort yet. We might be getting there, but it's not our last resort yet. So quit loving the attention that you're getting on social media more than your freedom and your rights, because sometimes everything you say isn't correct and you have a duty to your followers and the people that are looking to you for information to be correct.
You know, here's something since you brought up the McCloskeys, I would say. I'm from St. Louis. I know the area where they live. Let's get one thing straight. The first thing that happened was people were like, oh, look, they're finally going into the suburbs. Okay, so let me tell you about something about the great city of St. Louis. I know that neighborhood looked nice and that was a big, pretty house and shit. That was smack dab in the middle of the fucking city. Let's get that out of the way. A lot of people didn't realize that. That was not the suburbs. That was right across the street from a park, our largest city park called Forest Park. It's in our medical district. That's in an area called the Central West End that sits right smack dab in the middle of our city. It's called Central for a reason. Okay, so that's one. So when people were like, damn right, this is the 2A, this is how it's supposed to be, I'm like, hey fam, stop. That's one. It was not in the suburbs. So this whole image of, oh, we have to protect our suburbs, like the cities aren't just as important, is fucking ridiculous, for one. For two, the McCloskeys not only were wrong in what they did, they're paying for it with legal fees right now, by the way. Not only were they wrong in what they did, do people even know why? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to agree with the politics of the demonstrators. But this is something to actually bring clarity to the situation. The mayor, Lyda Krewson, of St., which is as anti-gun as they come. Okay? She's anti-gun. She's anti-freedom. She is a control freak. She's a horrible person. Okay? I can say that because I grew up in that city all my life and I know it. Okay? Lyda Krewson, 24 to 48 hours before, was met by a group of protesters at City Hall, her place of employment. Okay? They came onto the steps of City Hall. We have city marshals, okay, that are responsible for the protection and aid of City Hall. Obviously, the St. Louis City Police will come if needed be. We also have a sheriff's department that's close by, so everybody can converge there and help the marshals if they need assistance. But they didn't. The protesters said, we want to meet with our mayor, their elected official. She came outside. They met. They gave her a list of demands, things they wanted to see changed in the city. One of them was defund the police, and there were several other things. Now, it's not about you agreeing with their politics. Right. They met with her. They had a conversation with her. The mayor, unscathed, unharmed, goes back into her office, and a short time later arranges a virtual interview with one of our local news stations. And in this virtual interview with one of those reporters, she doxes all the people that came to have a meeting with her elected official. She read their statements, what they wanted, and who they were, including their addresses. That's what the mayor of St. Louis did. The anti-gun mayor of St. Louis, Missouri did. The protesters then said, oh, so we attempted to come down to City Hall, your place of employment, to have a conversation with you. We didn't hurt you. We didn't harm you. We didn't threaten you. We gave our elected official a list of demands that we want to see changed for our city. You then go in and you bully us by doxing us. So what people fail to realize is that gate they broke through, that neighborhood they were walking through, why everybody's supporting the McCloskeys, do you have any idea why the protesters were there? They marched to the front door of the mayor of St. Louis City that happens to be the neighbor of the McCloskeys.
Yep.
So, a group of Americans, whether you agree with their politics or not, were essentially threatened by one of their elected officials. And then those people, whether you like their methods or not, went to the front door after they attempted to have a conversation at her employer, at her employment. They went to have a conversation at her front door because you were not going to threaten us and bully us by using your political platform. That's why they went to that home. That's why they were there. That's why they were in that neighborhood. So it wasn't the suburbs. It was in the middle of the city. They weren't just a group of people looking to wreck the suburbs, whether you like their politics or not. They were a group of people that weren't going to be bullied by their elected official. And they went to the front door of their elected official and they decided that your little gate is not going to keep us from holding you accountable and you threatening the citizens of this city.
Yep.
So when you back up to the Second Amendment community, to the freedom community, what do we say? We'll show up, and damn it, if we need to be aggressive and show you we're not playing, we'll do it. You also had a group of people, I believe that was in Kentucky, that showed up in an effigy, hung a doll model of the governor at the governor's home, the governor's mansion, if you will, right? That the people pay for. But nobody thought bad about that. They were praising it. But when these group of people, because you disagree with their politics, decided to go hold an elected official accountable at her home after they tried to have a conversation with her at her work, and she threatened them, they said, oh, okay, we're going to bring this to your doorstep. We tried to do it the right way. So that's why they were there. Now, the McCloskeys are reporting that people say they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Guess what? I don't know because we don't have any footage or any proof that anybody ever said anything of that nature. The McCloskeys came outside. The wife, I know people are arguing about the husband, you know, about whatever. The wife was clearly threatening people by pointing a gun at them. Now, does anybody know why he had that AR-15 in the first place? Do you know that the McCloskeys are attorneys and they were suing the gun industry, which is why he had the AR in his house, and that's why he didn't have any ammo for it? Because he was studying the gun to assist in suing the gun industry. I just want to
ended up using it in his own, and then ended up using it in his own self-defense. You know, that's the part where we have to educate ourselves and we have to read all the information that's out there. And, you know, Swamp Fox says, I don't think it's fair to lump the 2A community in with the McCloskeys. Half of the 2A community lumped themselves in with the McCloskeys when they decided to support that kind of behavior. Okay. They should have just gone in the house and been vigilant. Right. And I'm very, very positive that all of those people would have just walked right past that house. Right. They drew attention to themselves that wasn't necessary when they came out and threatened people. And that's the thing is, I'm not going to lose my life over a street, over a gate. Right. But I'm going to be vigilant if I were in their shoes and go, you know, what if these people break into our house? We probably need to be ready for that. And go in your house, go into the tactical advantage of your home. But those people probably would have just walked right past their house because they were on a different mission, right? They were going to somebody else's house.
Yep.
Okay. Now, did they, you know, could they have potentially been criminally trespassed for, you know, what they did? Yeah, probably. And you should have just let that happen. Okay. But you know, that wasn't the way to solve that problem. That wasn't the way to do that. And I think, and we have to bring logic back into this game. We have to bring logic back into this, and it's just not there right now. And that's the division in the 2A community is we have some people that are like, I want to be logical and understand that the Second Amendment, you know, me using my gun as a last resort. And then we have other, you know, the other half of the 2A community that's just yay raw guns anytime it happens. And what we have to do as responsible gun owners is break all of these situations down into their most foundational form and go, was this necessary? That's the question.
Yeah, I think
just because something is justified under the law doesn't necessarily make it reasonable.
Well, that can be true too. And I think in a situation where people are saying, hey, like, and I see, and that would be a legit thing. Hey, they were threatening McCloskeys. Well, how did the McCloskeys hear the threats? Right? So, do I necessarily have any gripe with somebody defending their home? Don't get it twisted. Hell no. Come in my house and see how I feel about it. I dare you.
No.
Hell no. What I am saying is the way that it was projected, right, to get this influence and these followers and in the echo chamber, the details weren't out. And we have to have a conversation about the details of the thing. So what I'm curious about is when is everybody going to rally and agree with the protesters and saying our elected officials don't get to threaten us when we try to have a mature conversation.
Well,
and don't expect that we're going to come to their homes.
Right. And that's when I kind of leaned on you. And I know that Devin is on this too. His handle on Instagram is Trench Work Chronicles. He has a great podcast, by the way. I lean on you two a lot to when I look at stuff like that and I go, what is this really? And what am I missing? You know, what information am I missing? And you guys are really good about getting that to me because, you know, we can't, anything that you see on social media or in the news, you can't always take it as face value, you know? So when I see that kind of stuff, I've kind of learned, I'm not going to comment on it right away, but a lot of my followers are like, what do you think about this? What should I, you know, what should we do about it? And I'm like, I don't have all the information yet. Like, do you remember when the shooting happened at YouTube headquarters?
Yeah.
Okay. And you remember who did the shooting? Do you remember?
Wasn't that an ex-employee? Oh no, was that somebody that said they didn't want yeah. So
it was an ex-employee. And she was female. And I think that she was a registered anti-gun Democrat, if I remember correctly. Okay. So here's the thing. I was on a CBS 11 panel. I was on the news. I was sitting in front of a camera about to go live on the news with a former ATF agent, a young man in high school who staged a walkout because of gun violence, and a woman who was the head of the teachers union for Dallas, Texas. And that shooting literally happened like 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on air. And so that's the first question that they asked me. Was they looked right at me, the reporter, the person who's interviewing us, looked right at me and goes, what do you make of this? What is this about? And I was like, how can you possibly expect me to comment on something or give you an opinion on something that I can't speak intelligently about? I have no information. So now you're just wanting me to say something for ratings, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say something about it until I can speak intelligently about it. And everybody went nuts. Everybody was like, oh, Jerah's afraid to give her opinion. Jerah's afraid to say what needs to be said. No, Jerah wants to be smart about what she says. Okay. And that's what we need to get back to is I don't have all the information, so I can't speak intelligently about it. All I know is that somebody who had a gun went and shot up YouTube headquarters. That's all I know at this point. I can't give an opinion about that. People make stupid decisions with guns sometimes. I don't know what else to tell you at this point. Ask me again in 3 days when I have more information. And that's the problem, and that's the division is everybody wants to know something right now. Everybody wants an opinion right now. I don't know anything yet. And that's irresponsible for me to give my opinion on something that I don't know shit about yet. Don't ask me.
Yeah, I also think it runs down to this. I have a saying that ruffled some feathers. There are social media influencers, and then there are influencers that happen to be on social media. And you know what? Here's the thing. I ain't gonna say shit to ruffle your feathers. I'm not in this game for popularity. I didn't do it for that. I accidentally fell into this shit. Real talk. I accidentally did. But
same.
What I can say is, as far as the personal infighting, because there is the matter of opinion and people having differences of opinion, and that's fine. And then there is this infighting. What I say to the infighting is this. I think that people can have a tendency to want to defend a fame. If you're not in it for fame, you don't have to defend it. I think that sometimes people get, yeah.
That's it.
If you
Nail
are
on the head.
If you are trying to out two-way the next person, you're going to have conflict. I see the infighting. I don't participate in it. There are people that are strong two-way advocates, and you guys aren't going to believe me. And because I like to keep certain things confidential until until they give me a reason to really blow it up. Let me give you this. Not all, but there are a couple of people that the two-way community loves that despise me simply because I talk about African-American issues. Facts, right? Because they're here for a reason, and the only reason that they haven't come out publicly and said it because they know I'll fucking slaughter them. That's it. Yeah. It's the only reason they haven't came out and said anything. But I know because I've seen her screenshots, and I don't play that game. And I'm not going to. I'm a person that believes if you got a problem with me, we can handle it one-on-one. There is no need to put it in a public eye and let the public, no, I don't need the public to be a judge of it. You got nuts, homeboy, you stand in front of me and let's have a conversation about it. That's how I feel. And if your nuts ain't big enough to stand in front of me and have a conversation as a man, then you ain't worth me addressing. So I'm not going to get into, to me, the two-way community gets too much into this high school bullshit. I want to be the prom king or the prom queen and all that. Look, man, you about freedom or not? And if you built a large platform, I tip my hat to you. If you got millions of people that listen to you, I tip my hat to you because this shit is not easy. So I tip my hat to you. And if you are doing it out of pure heart and pure effort and you believe in freedom, I tip my hat to you. If you are somebody that just wants to be popular and you're playing two-way advocate, you're using the community just to generate funds for yourself, that's business. I'm not necessarily mad at you for being in business, but don't pretend like you're in the business of freedom. There's the
I mean, you can be a two-way advocate and still be a complete piece of shit. I mean, don't get it twisted. I mean, I think that we saw a little bit of that after SHOT Show this year, with some, things that went down there. And, I just want, I want people, especially women, right? I'm a woman. I want women to take this seriously. And I just want women to revamp their time management and go, I need to spend a little bit of time figuring out how to defend myself because we're a target. We are. And we're You know, you can burn your bras all day, but we're the weaker sex. It just is what it is, you know? And we have to equalize that, and we have to protect our children, and we have to protect ourselves, and we have to be good partners to our husbands who are protectors, right? And that's not anything, that's not a knock against women. That is an elevation of women. Okay? There has never been a time prior to this, I'm telling you, through history, there's never been a time where women have been elevated like they are now, especially in the 2A community. Okay? Is there sexism that still exists? Sure. There's probably always going to be sexism that exists. There's probably always going to be some form of racism that exists. But men are calling upon us now to be good partners in relationships and marriages and saying, help us protect our children. And you need to hear the call. And within the 2A community, you need to remember the foundation of what you're representing. And it's not your own progression. It's the freedoms of the American people. And you got to be correct. You have a duty to research, and you have a duty to be correct. And that's why I don't play into all this he said, she said, he said, she said shit about other people. I've experienced some of the people that are being talked about firsthand in a lot of different situations, and that shit isn't adding up. And I'm going to defend people based on my interaction with them. Okay? Unless something comes out, that's legal and provable and has evidence or whatever, I'm not going to piss on someone based on something that someone else said. And that's just not what that's not what 2A is for me. And that's not what this community is for me. So I just simply align myself with people that I know are real. And it doesn't matter if they have 200 followers or 2 million followers.
Yep, that's the way I look at it too. And I see we had a comment earlier. Then I'm going to get to some of these questions. So hang in there, guys. I do have your questions coming up. Captain says they say, Katie, when I bring up your good work, I guess you're talking about random influencers or things like that. So one, I am not offended by everybody that I know in people. People always don't know who other people are. That's fine. It happens. It's the world. It is what it is. I don't think there's one person that knows everybody. I often, people will be like, hey, this guy is cool. This guy is cool. I'll be like, hey, this dude. And they're like, who? So that's an opportunity for people to get to know someone that is out there. That's why we ask you guys to even tag people that are putting out good information, right? We can all learn. I don't know everybody. I've ran across some great pages that do great work that I've never heard of, which is absolutely fine. What I also say to this, if they're being sarcastic, if it is that type of thing, is let me tell you something. I was changing lives before I ever pushed the trigger or pressed the trigger. I was already changing lives. All right. My personal work and personal goal started off as civil rights advocacy and helping my local community. All right. Those little 20 square blocks. It morphed into what it is now. I don't owe, and this is coming from me, I don't owe anybody anything but my truth. And when I am out trying to help change the lives of people and trying to better this country, I'm going to do that in my way. And it is not for fame. I appreciate people that support me. Love you all. Thank you so much. For those that dislike me because of the way I speak, because of what I say, or whatever other reasons they come up with, or they don't want to know me because, oh my God, I don't like that guy. That's cool. We ain't all meant to like each other. Personalities are there for a reason. I don't need that. What I am telling you guys is I do this from my heart. Am I going to mess up? Yeah. Have I messed up? Mm-hmm. But guess what? I believe in this because it started organically for me. I did not look at a screen and say, oh, look, a whole community of people that if I say infringed, they jump, they cheer, they roar. Hell, as a matter of fact, I'm the guy that normally silences the crowds because I say shit they never heard before. Facts. Okay? So I jumped into it for a whole different reason, which is why I don't get into the gossip of the industry. Somebody wants to come on Stogies and Straps and have a conversation with me, I'm all for it. Somebody doing great work, I haven't heard of them, I want to know about them. That's why another reason why I ask you guys to tag people, because I don't know everybody. I want to know about them. But what I look for the most out of people is that they are doing it out of their own heart. I'm not going to necessarily agree with every step you take, how you do it, what you say, how you say it. And I might have an opinion about certain things. But if you're doing it from your heart and you believe in equal freedom for all Americans, and you want to see this country be a better and more freer place, you're my friend. You're at minimum my ally, because we need different voices speaking different ways. This being the most popular thing, if you amass a great following, once again, literally, I'm not being sarcastic. I tip my hat off to you, because it is not easy to do. It is not easy work to do at all. What I will say is, followers or supporters, as I like to say, to the side, it is about making sure that you believe in freedom. And then if you have an opinion about certain things that touch your heart, that touch your spirit, and you want to be vocal about, cool. Do they align with freedom? Cool. Do you? The gossip about who's the most popular, who makes the best videos, who had this different opinion, I don't even get into that shit, man. To be honest with you, most of the time that I hear about stuff, because people are like telling me. Other than that, I don't pay attention. Man, you about this work or not? You about getting this thing done or not? You about beating these corrupt politicians or not? You about expanding freedom or not? Or no, as the kids would say, right? Like, so what are you about? Because me, when I'm not speaking about freedom, when I'm not doing that, I'm helping children. You see me post videos of me in schools when they allow me to. You see me feeding families. You see me giving kids school clothes. You see me posting screenshots where I'm talking people out of murder because I'm a mentor to a lot of these young guys. That shit you can see on my main page. You see me talking them out of committing murder. I post the screenshots, right? And obviously their names aren't in there, right? You see me having those conversations because I am truly at the grassroots of things trying to fix this country. Is it about being popular? Hell no. So anybody that is infighting because they want to be the most popular or because they simply disagree with an opinion about somebody to make themselves more popular, that's on them. I fell into this thing because of the work I was already doing locally. And now I'm proud to say, I'm a kid from the fucking slums. I'm a kid from nothing, from sugar sandwiches, from the ghetto, from the hood, gang banging, dope selling, killing, murder outside my fucking front door. That's what I'm from. I'm from the shits that they only put on the fucking news. I'm from the shits, grew up in the shits. And then mama can be proud and look and say, my baby on the cover of Time magazine, speaking his truth. My mama can say, damn, my baby shared the same viewpoint or the same view, physical view, as Dr. King when he gave the I Have a Dream speech. That's my baby that was around the ghetto, trying to make it, trying to survive. I don't give a fuck about what some people.
I need to get that to you.
Yes, you do, because you took an awesome photo.
I still have that. You keep talking. I'm gonna be right back. Hold on.
Okay, so
you keep talking.
I am in the mission. I am as organic as they come. Not to say I'm better than anybody, because I'm not. I'm organic as they come. So when it comes to being the most popular, doing the most, hey man, salute to those that are. You know, much love to you. I know many of them. I'm close friends with many of them. Salute to you, bro, and ladies. Y'all doing great work. But at the end of the day, man, I'm me. I rock with me. I am who I am. Look at that beautiful picture. That's me, broad back and all.
That's you,
damn shoulders.
Dr. King.
Yes, ma'am. One of my heroes.
This is going to be, I'm going to ship this to you for Christmas because I thought I was going to see you for the train and learn. And then that's when I was going to bring it to you. But now I'm going to have to ship it to Georgia.
And thank you for that awesome gift, by the way. That was so sweet. When you sent me the picture, I got all in my feelings, right? Because Dr. King is one of my heroes. So to know, and what I'm trying to bring to people is, it's more than about, and I see somebody put it's more than about guns, man. Guns are very important. It's about freedom overall. So I can only speak for me. I am not about popularity. I'm not about being the cooler kid. And look, because I've done organic work, I am with the cool. It's not. I've been on the show. Name a show. Name a popular show that was on internet TV. I've been on it. I did TV shows before I ever was on a platform like the NRA. I was already doing me, right? I never got into this thing to be popular. I got into this thing to be purposeful. And there is a difference. You're about mission or merchandise. You're about being purposeful or popularity. And that's the difference. So I'm not going to get back and forth with who like who and who is a better advocate than who and who does what. Look, man, I'm about training Americans to make sure they can defend themselves. I happen to be naturally good with a gun. I take the craft of firearms instruction and coaching Very, very serious. I get out there, I educate people on how to defend themselves. Last time I counted, at least 4 Americans are still alive because of the instruction I gave them. Their testimonies, not mine. Bad guy dead, they're still alive. I'm about challenging politicians. I use my voice sometimes at its detriment to make sure I speak up for Americans. You think I give a fuck about being popular? If I wanted to be popular, all I would do is cut gun content videos and showing you the latest cool thing I was shooting. That's all I would fucking do. I wouldn't use my voice for cause and change. Now, not knocking anybody that does. I'm speaking for me. So this is tried and true. I often tell people, I am you. I am that 9-to-5 worker. I am that person that wondered where their next meal was coming from. I am the blue collar guy. That's who I am. Doesn't make me better or worse than anybody else. That's just who the hell I am. I am the dude that believes in freedom. I am the dude that believes in you stating your opinion, even if I disagree with it. I am the one that believes you and your family have a right to be safe. I am the one that believes in a better America. That's who I am. Even when I bring up the bullshit of America, I am only bringing it up because I want her to be better, because I love her. That's who I am. That's advocacy for your ass. Now let's get on to the next question.
Yeah. And putting yourself out there, putting yourself in different areas out of your comfort zone to get a different perspective. I think one of the coolest things I ever did was, I flew to St. Louis and we drove through the hood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And to see, like, what is this? What is it? Like, what are you fighting for? I want to know, and you're not going to know unless you get in the car and go,
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
And I do that. And I did. I took you through the neighborhood, right? You had we talked about your feelings and how you felt and things like that. And what I'm trying to tell,
strapped.
Yeah, you better be strapped.
He was strapped.
You damn well better.
And I was nervous as shit.
Mm-hmm. And look, it is what it is. But that's why I enjoy. So for even the people that challenge me, they'll be like, "Oh, as a black man, you shouldn't be seen talking to these white devils." Man, shut the hell up, dog. Look, matter of fact, one could argue, who's the most afraid? The dude that just sits and types online about, "Oh, don't associate with the white devils," or the dude that's in the country in the hills with them, the dude that's hanging out with them? Because at the end of the day, there's this little thing called the Second Amendment. And I don't give a fuck who you are. 9 mil don't discriminate. Whoever I point and say, "Get him, boy," you going to get got. See what I'm saying? So there is no, I'm afraid to go anywhere. This is my fucking country. I'll go anywhere in this damn country out damn world, please. And if I want to go there and have a conversation, I love having conversations with Americans that see things differently than me. Real life conversations. I know social media is the tool. We use it for that. But I really enjoy sitting down with a dude that's called a redneck. Some of my best conversations have been with James Yeager. Some of my best fucking conversations have been with James Yeager. Redneck from rural Tennessee, right? Many men that have helped me. Here's a fun fact. Aiming for the Truth, that program, went the way that I was able, because I, for whatever reason, can't get public donations, the way that I was able to pay for the official non-for-profit status of LLC was a guy named John that owns a business called the Reign St. Louis West in St. Louis. He got his investors together and they paid for the official licensing nonprofit status of that organization. Guess what? He's a redneck from the hills of Tennessee. Right?
Wow.
I love having conversations with people that come from different, girls from Texas, people from, Southern Florida, wherever you come from. I love having these conversations because I am solid and secure that the only way we are going to make America truly better is by making sure we, the fucking people, come together, and we can fight at the dinner table all we want. We can argue over differences of opinion. We can do that shit till we're blue in the face. As long as we understand that then the government works for us. We the people, because it's like having 2 brothers or 2 sisters fighting, right? They can fight all they want. The moment you jump your dumb ass in it, they both gonna kick your ass. That's what we need to get to. So be mad at me for whatever, stand against me for whatever, but at the end of the day, I believe, and this is just personal to me, that I'm as American as they fucking come. Because I got every excuse and every fucking reason not to believe in what was presented to me as the United States of America. But still, in all of that, I grit, I grind, I never begged for shit, I never took a motherfucking welfare check, I grinded my ass off, I addressed the issues, I stood up for what I believed in, I never cowered to government or man, either one of them. And anybody that meets me in person knows I'm the nicest person you can meet. And ain't nothing about me, nothing about my presence or my aura says that I'm a bitch and you're going to talk to me any kind of way. I stand up for what I believe in. I have given everything in my voice. I will make way more money if I cut this off today. Way more money. I'm a motherfucker that comes from nothing. And I said we ain't going to use that for excuses. We're going to snap these generational curses. You know what I'm going to do? Parents didn't make it past the 8th grade. And I know I brought that up a few times this week. Parents didn't make it past the 8th grade as far as education. Tell you what, mama, watch this cold shit. Baby graduated from high school. Mama is clapping. I was like, I don't give a fuck who is telling me. All the OGs in the hood talking about, man, this world ain't meant for you, man. You ain't gonna make nothing of yourself, man. We just gonna be here in the hood. I said, no, fuck that, OG. You gonna be here in the hood. I'm gonna tell you what, if nothing else, we're gonna make the hood better. We gonna reinvent this shit. We gonna carve this shit back out. So, mama, don't you worry. Your son ain't gonna be out here gang banging and selling dope like that. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. You didn't graduate high school, mama. This diploma for you. Oh, baby, you got a high school diploma. We've never achieved that. Tell you what, mama, we ain't done. Take this undergrad degree. Take this undergrad degree. Oh, damn, my baby went to college? Fuck. Oh, tell you what, people in the hood. Oh, damn, man. What you mean you going to school? That shit ain't worth nothing, man. You ain't supposed to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna, white man don't give you a chance to say, check this out, OG. Take this motherfucking graduate degree across your motherfucking face. Take that. And you know what I'm gonna do with that education? Whether I went in fucking debt for it or not, because it was about proving a point. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna change all this bullshit that they've told us we can't amount to, that we can't be, that we can't have a voice, that we can't have an opinion. And that every fucking body hates us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to change the way this shit called America is viewed. I'm going to make her better. I'm going to stand up for us. I'm going to bring our voice and I'm going to expand this shit called freedom that we were never taught. And then somebody wants to tell me I'm not the 2A influencer they want me to believe. Fuck you. I'm not a 2A influencer. I'm an influencer of life. And freedom just happens to come with it. Now take that shit to your popularity contest.
Upside your head.
Now, let's get to some more of these questions. Okay, so we have a lot of questions. Let's see, that was 2A is more than freedom. It's more than defense. It's about survival. 2A is more than freedom. More than defense is about survival. Preach. I believe that comment was to you, Jerah. Let's see what else we got here. We talked about the Pistol Brace brand. Okay, Jerah, I'll let you lead with this one. Swamp Fox asks, Swamp Fox, man, you asking a lot of good questions. Asks, thoughts on a resource for good trainers versus bad trainers?
Okay. I think that you should, I think that the number one thing is pay attention to reviews that they have on their website. I mean, if they don't have a lot of reviews, they may just kind of be starting out, which is fine. I mean, support those people too. But I think that there's like a foundation of principle that an instructor should be teaching. And one of the things that I've learned, especially recently, is if an instructor can teach you how to use a gun all day long, but if they're not also willing to do a deep dive into the anatomy of a firearm and why it works that way, and the smaller nuances of it, then I might question what they actually know. If they don't, I think if they're training you unrealistically in unrealistic scenarios, this is another thing that I kind of took away from the intuitive defensive shooting instructor course was you have to bring neuroscience into it too. So there's a mental, it's mindset, right? We want to teach a proper mindset of when is it necessary to shoot somebody or resort to that level of violence. But we also have to understand how our body works. So I think that if you're not finding an instructor who understands all of those things, right? So the 7 body's natural reactions to stimulus or stress or being startled, you want to find somebody who knows those things and who has that knowledge. Because if you're not training realistically and consistently, it doesn't really work. That's one of the biggest obstacles that I found in teaching women, is they listen to instruction very well, but they have very unrealistic expectations or ideas about what they are capable of or what a gun can do. So that's an obstacle to overcome. So if you also want to identify a trainer. I mean, these are really good questions to ask a trainer is, how should I be training? And if they're telling you, oh, I've got this really great class to, teach you to take cover and concealment behind a car, so that you can not be sniped from a roof, that would probably be a really big red flag for me, because it's not even really plausible or probable that I'm going to be sniped from a roof. So why would I want to train that way? Why would I want to waste time, money, and resources to be trained that way? The things that I want to train, because the things that are probable and plausible for me are abduction, sexual assault and rape, potentially home invasion, right? Things like that, right? So you want to make sure that you're able to kind of figure out the bullshit, and look, I would love to be a resource for that, so if you don't live in Texas and it's not, it's not ideal for me to train you because you don't live in Texas or you don't live close to me, then, get with me, PM me and go, hey, this is a trainer in my area. Can you check out their Instagram page? Maybe give me a list of questions I could ask them, so that I can find out if this trainer is really good for me, or good in general, right? So there's a lot of people that like to semantics matter in this. Let me just point that out. There are a lot of people that are touting themselves as gun trainers. You go take one NRA class, you're not a gun trainer, because you haven't taken the opportunity. You need to take a myriad of classes. I've been teaching for 10 years, but I've been shooting since I was 12. This has been a lifelong endeavor for me. And I still don't know everything. So take that into consideration. So if you want someone to train you, and you want to get the best and most correct information, you need to ask, like, how long have they been doing this? And if they haven't been doing it that long, but maybe they're really good at teaching introduction to handgun, recognize that. So you got to be able to educate yourself to recognize what you can get out of a person and what you can't.
Okay. That's a fair assessment. I would add this, and the question was, and we're answering Swamp Fox's question here. I would say this. Sometimes you can have a bad training experience because you're training to a level you don't need to be attempting to be at
yet.
So you're having a bad experience because things aren't making sense. So the first thing you should do before you ever go out and you want to rate a good instructor or a bad instructor, the first thing you should do is think about what you are trying to achieve realistically with your self-defense, right? Or whatever you're trying to do, right? Maybe you're into hunting, you need an instructor for hunting, whatever your thing is. Really think about what you are going to be using the gun for. What is your lifestyle? And then you should be going to trainers like that. Like, for example, if you're looking at a trainer who focuses and specializes in training military and SWAT units, not saying they can't train you to shoot a pistol, but if they specialize in this other thing and you just got your first gun a year ago, it's probably not going to be the best environment for you to learn, right? Even if they do.
That's a great point.
That's
a great point, because when I started my business, I was overwhelmed with the amount of things that I could potentially train someone on, but I figured out what I was good at, and I specialize. I take a lot of advanced training, but I specialize in foundational introductory training. And that's what almost all of my clientele come to me for. Introduction to handgun, introduction to draw from holster, all the introductory classes, that's my wheelhouse. And I get you ready and confident to move on to other people that can train you in more advanced skill sets. So you need to ask your trainer, what do you specialize in? What's the best thing that you teach? That's a great point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you thank you. And once you get to understanding your realization of what you expect out of it, then I would totally agree with Jerah. That's when you start asking those questions, right? So there's nothing wrong with asking your trainer, right? How long have you been in business? Can you give me a ballpark of how many people you trained? There's nothing wrong with asking those questions. It's fair, right? Now, I would argue, don't waste their time asking a bunch of questions. You're not going to train with them anyway. Like, don't waste somebody's time if you know you're not going to do it. But if you're seriously considering and you're just trying to pick the right trainer, you know, the money's there, then it's okay to start asking the questions like Jerah pointed out. Another thing I would advise people to do is to make sure that you are going to training that is focused on the student and not the instructor. I don't want to go
too many war stories. That's a red flag.
Yeah, the stories are kind of cool here and there. I don't mind them. But if I'm going to spend 70% of this class listening to how cool you are, 10% of the class taking breaks, and 20% of the class doing what I paid for, I'm not coming to you. I'm just not. Right? It's not worth my time. I will watch your Instagram and your social media and stuff to get the war stories. What I think you can do is also, you know, ask for a reference of a student they trained before. Nothing wrong with that. You're right.
Great idea.
You know, ask for a student. Maybe they'll just give you their Instagram, so they're not giving out their personal information. And they might ask the student, is it okay, hey, if I send Bill your way to ask you a question? But ultimately, there is no, it depends on your, if I walk into a class, I can almost pinpoint a bad teacher. Even if they're great at their skill set, they might be bad at translating information over. The way that I personally prevent those issues is that I ask people. I'll ask them, hey, did you train? I know that you trained with this guy. I saw it on your Instagram about 6 months ago. What was your experience like? You know, how did it go? And I'll ask unique questions that I know that I want to learn, because all of us understand how we learn, right? You at least know that. How do you learn? And then you can ask people like, yo, so so did he or did she? And then you go from there and you pick it. Because sometimes, yes, there are absolutely bad instructors. Look, I'll tell this funny story. It's crazy as shit. I had a guy come into my concealed carry class, right, which is an entry-level course, right? The guy, you know, was still trying to understand the basics of even holding a handgun, okay? Which is fine. And I put him through the class. He goes through the class. He passed. He gets his concealed carry permit. I go into the range about 4 months later with another group of students where they can qualify. And I see this guy with an instructor shirt on. I'm like, what? Now, I'm not going to embarrass him in front of his students, right? But I say, hey, man, you got a minute? He's like, yeah. Because I walked in, he's like, yeah, that's the guy that trained me. I'm like, yeah, okay. Hey, come here. Don't put my name on this shit, right? Come here. Hey, man, you know, realistically, just a few months ago, you were just learning the basics a few months ago. I understand that you probably went through an NRA certification class, and now you're teaching? Like, did you go to any instructor development courses? Did you start going through
or any of that? Like
any of that? He was like, well, no. I said, so what are you teaching them? He's like, I'm teaching them what I learned. Like, you ain't really learned nothing yet. You know, I said, okay, man, just understand that and I left him with, just understand that if these students go out there and they walk out this door and they need to defend themselves, that's on you. You hold that.
But you taught them.
Because you taught them. So you got to hold that level of responsibility. Okay, let's see if we got another question in here. I know I saw a fresh one pop up. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Why does the left and anti-gun people have more influence over politicians?
You disarm the people, you have the power. Who in a position of power isn't on board for that? I mean, that's a...
Well, I think his question is more, why do the people he's identifying as the left, why do they have more influence over the politicians?
That's a good question.
I think because they're great marketers. And I also think, this came from a staunch Republican, Jerah, that told me this. We were talking not too long ago, and he was voicing it, and he got self-identifies as a live and die conservative Republican. He is red. Cool, no problem. I'm cool. I'm friends with the guy. And he says, you know the problem, man, he was venting. He was really getting it off his chest. And I was just a soundboard, right? And I do that for my friends. I become a soundboard and let them just yell, right? And he said, hey, you know the problem with Republicans versus Democrats? And this is a Republican. And I was like, tell me, man. You're on a freaking roll. I don't want to be a victim of your tirade right now. You just tell me. And he said, well, Republicans talk, Democrats do. It's like, And I think that people, if that's his opinion, right? And let's just go off that opinion. If people understand that identify quote unquote left, and they understand that they can rally and they can get their way, and they can get politicians to represent their voice, and it works, good for them. If they realize that, because the people that might be in opposition to their political views, if their representatives don't hold the same weight, if they're not executing the same, whose fault is that really? You know? So if I can vote for a Democrat that is vehemently, let's just say, anti-gun, then I understand that by voting for them, they are truly going to fight for, gun confiscations and so forth and so on. And I know they're going to do it. And me and all my friends go out and vote for them. And I know they're going to work for me when they get in office. Okay. If the other side is not going to put up somebody that has the same vigor, that is going to fight with the same veracity, that's their fault. At the end of the day, so I think that, and I saw somebody say money does have a lot into it. We have to understand that anti-freedom types, I'm kind of taking it away from that, because I know people don't like to realize this, guys, but I'll tell you. I know Jerah knows a lot of them. I know a crap ton of them. There are plenty of people that identify as quote unquote liberal that are all about guns. Period. They don't want you touching their guns. There are organizations, liberal gun owners, for example, like they are all about gun rights. But for lack of better, let's just say that all liberals, which they aren't, but let's just say all liberals were anti-gun. And if their representatives, if they're appointing or fighting for what they believe in, and they're putting money behind them, resources behind them, defending them on social media, if they're doing all those things, my only question is, why isn't the opposition to that, if they believe that what they're doing is wrong, why aren't they putting representatives that fight with the same kind of veracity? That would be my only thing, man. But money definitely does play a large portion of it. I mean, one thing about a war is you have to appreciate the strengths of your enemy, right? Like when athletes go out and they're going to be competing against other athletes, they watch tape on them, they study them, right? They acknowledge what they're good at, right? Are we going to double team this guy? Right? Because he's too damn good, right? Going to double team this guy? They study their opposition. You have to study your opposition. And being a part of the system that was vehemently anti-freedom, where I grew up at, it's like one thing about them is that they fight hard. Look at Levi, for Christ's sakes. Levi paid their employees to protest. Damn. You paid your employees to protest? Damn. You are busing people and some of them turn into riots. Don't get me wrong. That's a whole other conversation. But you're paying them to protest. I'm not saying that this is the only example, because there are plenty of examples where hundreds of thousands of people have shown up. But here in the Georgia Senate runoff, we get 14 people across the state to show up. Well, we got Levi paying people to go out and speak their message.
I think that the general population, I think there are a lot of people in America who just don't want the responsibility of freedom. And I think it makes it easier for, and that translates into, more power in your government. And that benefits them. That's what they want. And and there's people just don't want the responsibility of freedom anymore. They'd rather just have too many rules and the structure, right, that they can just depend on, right? Free healthcare for everybody. I don't have to work for it. I can do what I want with my body, and I can, and somebody else is going to pay for it. And I think that translates into more power for a Democrat-leaning society that just doesn't want the responsibility of freedom. I think it's laziness. I think there's a lot of laziness in it.
Okay. You have the question, the person asking the question asked to be anonymous. But the question is Jerah single?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, expect a DM, ma'am. Okay. Micah asks, best state for black people to exercise their gun rights. Any state in this union is the answer to that question. Any state in this union. I understand, especially because of the rise in, popularity or maybe unpopularity of INFAC has been a recent thing. There have been a lot of conversation about black people and gun ownership. Look, realistically, man, if you're in a state that already acknowledges freedom, then, that's a plus, right? But any place that you're at, that's where you should represent freedom, man, period. If you want to exercise your gun rights or fight for your gun rights, home is where the fight is. So any state in this union is where the fight is. I believe that, a lot of times we have valid complaints and valid things that go on, whether people want to listen to them or not. But at the same time, history's not going to remember the cowards. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not going to remember the people that decided it was going to be too hard. It's not going to remember the people that decided that the fight's not worth having. It's going to remember the individuals that stood up and stood for what they believed in. So wherever you're standing, man, wherever you're breathing, wherever that is, that's where. That's the answer. Overall, anywhere in this union. I don't allow anybody to tell me, because you're this, you can't have a voice and you can't speak. Because of this, you can't exercise your rights. Nah, you got me messed up. Now, am I going to be foolish? Like, for example, am I going to sling an AR across my back and walk up on the lawn of the U.S. Capitol? What up, Maj? Oh, we see the homie Maj has joined in. What up, family? What's up, baby? We'll see you this weekend. Black Guns Matter in Atlanta. Kennesaw, Georgia at the Governor's Gun Club. I understand. Hey, Maj, that joint sold out, man? I heard that joint sold out. Let me know if it's sold out or not, if I need to keep pushing it. So wherever you stand in this union, Micah, is where you represent your gun rights. I understand that, throughout this country's history, there have been states that have taken a strong stance against Black Americans being armed. But, man, let me tell you this. Wherever you breathe, wherever you bleed, wherever you pay taxes and all that jazz, that's where you represent Black gun owners and all gun owners. And that's the thing. When you step out, one thing that I would like for, and I understand that it's not at the top of the priority list. I totally get that of certain organizations. But one thing that we need to remember is gun rights. Yeah, they are absolutely racist. I mean, not gun rights. I'm sorry. Gun restrictions, gun laws are absolutely racist. We know that. I have cited, hell, I built a gun around that, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing. And so I'll say that, right? Literally, by making sure that I wanted Americans to understand the plight of Americans and Black Americans when it come to these gun rights. I literally designed a gun called The Truth to defeat the lies of gun control. Literally.
I think it's so sweet.
You know?
It's so sweet.
No, thank you, ma'am. And it's about getting that message out there. So look, fam, wherever you standing, wherever you breathing, you stand on that. You make sure people understand that you want all your rights. All your rights. I heard Maj say once, and I even used it in one of my speeches, when people were saying that the Second Amendment wasn't made for us. Well, it's my shit now. Period. Because fact, it wasn't.
And another thing he said was, if you ain't ready to die about this shit, shut the fuck up.
Amen to that. See what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm trying to tell. Look, that's what I'm trying to tell people, man. I'm gonna have me one more pour of this Hennessy White. Oh, let me get that little commercial now real quick. NoOtherChoice.com, people. While we talking about Black Americans and exercising their rights, here's a Black man that's pumping you that work from 30-round magazines, baby. Go over to NoOtherChoice.com. Get your Amendment 2 magazines for $9.99. That is my gift to you. Also, remember, if you buy an SBA3 tactical brace, not only will you get a free magazine because you spent over $100, because if you spend over $100, you get a free 30-round mag. Not only will you get one of these puppies, we're taking 100% of the proceeds, donating them to FPC, for they can fight for every American's gun rights, all right, through via lawsuits, which is what people fear. And and you get to put another brace out into the world. So, yo, Stan, but that was a great question. I appreciate you asking it. But look, man, at the end of the day, I understand that we all come from different backgrounds, different opinions, as I said earlier. But this freedom thing is universal. It really is universal. And if we want to say anything, and look, it might be a sensitive subject for some, but hold your panties. If I can give anything to a large portion of white America, people we identify as rednecks and all that jazz, let me tell you something. One thing that they don't play about is their freedom. You ain't feel any kind of way you feel about it. They don't play about their freedom, and they've been speaking about this shit for a long time, and I'm talking about when it comes to guns. I think a lot of individuals could learn from that. You know what I'm saying? Be strong and be willed about it. And, you know, Jerah, I don't know if I ever told you this, but, and I'm saying this to Micah's question. When I started off speaking about advocacy, I didn't properly know what a gun was, right? When I was just speaking about, you know, the rights of people, civil rights, you know, pumping into my local neighborhood, trying to get people to stand up, be better people, you know, encouraging them and stuff like that. And I'm doing that as a teenager. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I just know what I read at the library and what I've been told in my conversations. And I'm trying to make sure that, damn it, people understand what freedom is, right? And the fact that you can be better and more than what these people around here and what the news is telling you can be. That's how I started. When I took a job with the PD and they started introducing me, you know, when I got proper firearms training, and then I heard somebody say the Second Amendment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh, shit. You know, all the reasons, all these stories that I tell about all this slaughter in American history, guess what them people didn't have the right to? Guns. And it just hit me. That's how I became a 2A advocate. That's why. Because I realized in my early 20s that all this stuff I'm talking about, like what good does it? And women's rights is another big thing in history, right? So what good does it do you as a woman? And what good does it do me as a black man to go out, you're an entrepreneur, you own, girl, I don't know how many damn businesses you own. You own a lot of them, right? And I myself, being a business owner, and I encourage people, and I know you do as well, encourage people to go out, be the best version of themselves, conquer their challenges. You know, you have a horrid past too. You survived some shit. I've survived some shit. And we encourage people to go out and be the better version of themselves and build and conquer, right? We encourage them to do all that. Well, what good is doing all that, Jerah? What good is doing all that if you go out and you spend 30 years of your life building the best version of you for your family and your future family that you can be, is if all it takes is for the government to decide you don't deserve to be free, or if a criminal decides that they want your shit and they're going to take your life to get it. What good does it do you to build all that up for somebody else to crumble it in a matter of seconds and you don't even have a say-so in the matter? Yeah.
You know, it's twofold. It's severalfold actually, and it's the being able to respond under 2A, right? But it's also keeping it intact over here and making sure that our government also believes in us being able to do that. It's a dual effort, and it deserves equal time and equal respect. Absolutely. And I think that was one of the things that kind of blew my mind about sort of, you know, getting involved in Black Guns Matter. You know, I remember having a kind of a back and forth with somebody that was on Maj's page, because I was like, I can't wait for, you know, Black Guns Matter Dallas or whatever. And they were like, and he was like, well, who's the white girl that's coming to Black Guns Matter? And I'm like, I'm the one that's going to be teaching you stuff. And you know, he got real pissed off about it and he didn't want it. And I was like, man, you gotta figure out who your enemies really are. And it's not me, you know, and I'm not rolling in trying to be the great white hope, but I do feel like, you know, now that I have a proper history education, that this, that whole part of history was complete bullshit. And now you have a huge part of Black America that truly believes that the Second Amendment isn't for them. And that is so false. That is so false. And I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, that we're all fighting right now is, you know, is trying to navigate this whole division of the country and this racism that's happening now, and going, no, listen, Second Amendment is for you. It's always supposed to have been for you. But that just shows you that somebody can write something on a piece of paper and completely go against it. I mean, we talked about that with, 1921 Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that with the battle at Wounded Knee. We talked about that. I mean, the Kent State shooting. I mean, look, the battle at Wounded Knee happened 100 years after the Second Amendment was ratified. Okay? And then the government still came and said, no, we need to disarm you for your own protection. And then they came and murdered everybody, including women and children. All the people that were massacred at 1921 Black Wall Street, just for being a black community that was prosperous. That's literally what it was. At the end of the day, that's the foundation of what it was. And so, yes, you deserve it. Yes, it is for you. And yes, you should be speaking out and defending it. Every Black American should be armed if they choose. Every Black American should be armed. And nobody should look at that and go, that doesn't look right. It should look amazing. And everyone should appreciate it. Every Jew should be armed if they choose. Every woman, every Asian American, because what happened under the Roosevelt administration?
Ooh-wee. Talk about it, girl.
Okay. Because right after Pearl Harbor, now we have the huge population of Japanese Americans that were sent to camps, because now we fear Asian Americans because Japan hit Pearl Harbor. So now people who have nothing to do with that, who are Americans, now have to suffer because of it. And so Roosevelt, in our own country, Roosevelt basically did what Hitler did, except he didn't kill him. But really, is it much different? And it happened here in our own country.
And, I watched a documentary. It was a while ago, so I don't remember all the details. But I watched the documentary how they were talking about how not only when the Asian Americans were put into internment camps, how their businesses and homes were taken by the states and the cities. And by the time when they did return home, they didn't have a home to go to.
No.
And
it wasn't that long ago. That was what, in the 40s and 50s?
Yep.
Half a century ago? 60, 70 years ago? Come on now. I mean, and you wonder why. And that's what I tell people when they're like, oh, Jerah, you're blowing this out of proportion, the whole mask mandate and the whole lockdowns because of COVID. No, I'm not. If this thing had a 50% mortality rate, maybe. I could see that. I could see us needing to shut some stuff down to save lives at a 50% mortality rate. Maybe. 99% or 99% of people survive this thing. Are you kidding me? And we're ruining people's lives. Is this really that much different, right? I mean, I get that they're not rounding people up and putting them in concentration camps, but we've got to act before that happens. We can't wait until it happens. We have to remind people who the fuck we are before that happens. Okay? So it's been a thing throughout history, and people just think that we're such a more civilized society now that could never happen. Bullshit. If your government is willing, and people are willing in law enforcement to go round up Japanese Americans, not Japanese people, Japanese Americans, because some people flew over from Japan and hit Pearl Harbor. That's huge. And people just forget because they never lived it. They forget. And you are literally seeing another piece of huge history unfold right before your eyes. You are living it. It is not in the pages of a history book. It is your life that is happening right now. And you should be looking back on the Battle of Wounded Knee. You should be looking back at 1921 Wall Street. You should be looking back at the Kent State shooting. You should be looking back at the internment camps for Japanese Americans and going, no, this shit is not going to happen again. Back the fuck off.
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
What's the saying? Those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
Okay? And it's happened over and over again. But people are like, no, it's not going to happen again. It's fine. Just, yeah. And fuck that vaccine, too.
Yeah, I'm all with that. Nah, I'm not. Nope. Keep that shit. No.
Fuck that.
Absolutely not. And there's a whole lot of reasons to say keep that stuff too. I did promise you guys a limited a presentation of something that's limited. There are only, I believe, 7 available. So here it is. This is the Black Mocha now. NOC. And people have been asking, it's a snapback, and it still has the Be Prepared on it. So this is also available on the website. There are a limited quantity available, and you probably should go grab one. You believe in freedom, if you believe in companies that represent freedom, this is for you. All right. Beautiful piece of artwork, if I must say so myself. Okay. So that is available right now on the website. You should go grab one. You'll be better for it. All right, Jerah, we've been going almost 3 hours. Let me ask you a final question. We're going to get out of here. I would be wrong if I didn't ask you, so I have to. What does freedom look like under a Biden administration?
It doesn't. There is no freedom under a Biden administration. That guy is going to do whatever the establishment tells him to do. He's a puppet. And who's more dangerous than him? Kamala Harris. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Mm.
Okay? Because she's smarter than he is. Let's just be real. Okay? This is a dangerous time that we're going to be walking in. And we've got to be vigilant and supportive of each other. And there's never been a more important time in recent decades to be involved. Okay, I'm not saying ever, because there's been way worse things that have happened in history. Okay, let's not over exaggerate it, but this is a very, very important time to be vigilant. It's a very important time to be involved. It's a very important time to step up. It's a very important time to start balancing your conversations at the dinner table. Hell, it's an important time to start having conversations at the dinner table. Okay? Right? We gotta have our joyful conversations, and we've got to celebrate the victories, and we've got to live our lives. But we have to start having these real conversations in our families, in our marriages, in our communities, in our Bible study groups, in our women's groups, in our men's groups, in our gun groups, in our whiskey groups. We got to start talking about this stuff and going, hey, did you get out and go vote? Hey, are you going to the city council meeting on Tuesday night? Hey, what are you doing for the gun rights hearing that's coming up in Austin or Atlanta or North Carolina or Florida or California? Like, are you going to it? Let's go together. Let's make an event out of this. Let's show up in droves, and let's remind these people, right? Because not all this shit happens while you're at work. And you got PTO too. Okay, so let's not pretend like our jobs are always in the way. Let's not forget that let's not act like it's not important to throw a couple PTO days at this shit, okay? How you spend your time is important. And if you're wasting your whole day away arguing with people on Facebook and you're not showing the fuck up, guess what? There's no impact there. There's no impact there. If you think for 1 second that your comments on social media aren't easy for the establishment to ignore, you're crazy. They are. They don't even have to look at your shit on social media, okay? But when you show the fuck up, that's different. That's presence. That's tangible, okay? Make it happen.
All right. I would like to say you guys only have, I think her words speak for themselves. I believe for a lot of reasons that we are not safe for anything under Joe Biden. Clearly, I have plenty of documented statements about that dude. So listen to her. I will say you only have mere minutes, by the way, to go over to northernchoice.com. Take advantage of the great deals I'm giving you guys tonight. But while we're wrapping this live up, we've been at almost 3 hours. This is the final official Stogies and Straps of the year. I don't think I could have had a better guest on to wrap this year up. I mean, she is absolutely phenomenal, not afraid to speak her mind, and someone that I always enjoy having conversations with. I will encourage you all to please, even if you watch this later, because I am going to post this, even if you watch this later, please go support Jerah, all her mission, see all the cool things that she is up to. Monkey, she is tagged at the top, Clearing the Chamber. Clearing the Chamber is her name. Clearing the chamber on a firearm. Clearing the Chamber. That is her name on IG. She is definitely tagged at the top. Guys, please make sure you follow Jerah and keep up with everything she's doing. If you came here because of Jerah, I would appreciate you giving me a follow. My main page is The Real NOC, The Real _ NOC. So before I get into all the sign-offs, Jerah, please, you do it. Tell people how they can follow you, how they can support you, keep up with you, and what's next for you.
You can find me obviously on Instagram at Clearing the Chamber. My business page on Facebook is at Clearing the Chamber. I also have a nonprofit called WADE, which is the Women's Awareness and Defense Endeavor. You can find those on Facebook and Instagram at WADE for Women. And that is, I raise money to teach single moms and low-income women how to shoot and defend themselves. They got to protect their babies, and they're doing it alone. So we've run 11 women just this year so far through the whole training academy, from introduction handgun to draw from holster. They've figured out how to purchase their own firearms legally, but we make sure that they have the proper gear to be able to do that. I'm working with the FBI Violent Crime Task Force through my company, Tier 1, my security company. And we are doing amazing things in human trafficking this year. It's been incredible. It's been awesome. And I'm just going to continue to keep trucking, right? I'm going to just continue to keep fighting for 2A rights, keep going and testifying at hearings in legislatures, and keep working with people like you in the African-American community to make sure that they know that 2A is for them, and they need to start educating themselves about it, speaking up about it, and taking advantage of it.
All right. Once again, I told you, multi-dimensional woman. Jerah is has her hands in everything. I will appreciate the support from you guys as well. Obviously, the biggest way you can support is going over to nootherchoice.com. Please make sure you sign up for the email list, even if you don't go buy anything. Just sign up for nootherchoice.com. Sign up for the email list so we can keep in touch. Be on the lookout for blogs. We are going to have a subscription service coming out next year for a mere $2.99 a month, where you can get access to training videos, different input, different insight, and things like that. We are also on Patreon. That is Patreon.com/NOC Firearms. You can go support us there as well. A lot of those proceeds are going to go over to our community outreach. There's also Aiming for the Truth via GoFundMe. So you can look all the details up, GoFundMe/Aiming for the Truth. On all your social media platforms, I am at The Real NOC. On Instagram, it's The Real _NOC, but The Real NOC to include YouTube. I am on all your social media platforms there, including Parler. We're on Parler at The Real NOC. The backup pages for social media platforms is KD of NOC, like you're viewing now. We are on this backup page having this Stogies and Strap episode because Instagram decided my main page I was a little bit too vocal. So that's why we're on this page. They won't allow me to go live right now. I can join lives. I just can't host them, so they think I need a babysitter. Those are the main ways you can support us. Be on the lookout for great things coming from No Other Choice. By the way, I understand that Americans are affected by the consequences of COVID. So we've added payment plans to our website that includes firearms training. So anything over $35, which our firearms training courses are, you can actually finance them 4 months interest-free, no additional cost out of your pocket. You can sign up for it right on the website to give you a way to kind of offset the ammo cost. And we understand that we talk to a lot of blue-collar Americans that need to be able to stretch a dollar. So that is my way of assisting you with that, while also arming you and training you to defend your life and expanding the message of freedom. So please support if you can. I greatly appreciate it. Jerah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. You are phenomenal in so many ways. I think I've told you that more times than I can count, but you are absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate your sacrifice of 3 hours of your evening. I would encourage everybody to please enjoy your holiday season, enjoy your families, enjoy some of that downtime. But just stay up, be aware and pay attention to some of the things they're doing over the holiday season to try to deprive you of your rights. So not saying don't smile, don't get in a bad mood, but just be aware that people are still working against you during this holiday season, and they do it intentionally. So with that being said, guys, greatly appreciate you. Thank you for all the positive comments and interaction tonight. We love you guys. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for Jerah in that way as well. And this has been our final episode of Stogies and Straps for the year 2020. We will see you guys back on 1/4/2021 with our continuing series. So Jerah, thank you once again so much for your time, sweetheart. You have a wonderful evening.
My pleasure. Bye. Love you all.
Peace.